how this would be good for the family.
Okay.
Yeah. I can't imagine a single metric in which that's good for society or for the young men they are supposedly trying to reach with their pickup skills. I can't see how this would be good for the family dynamic or the red pill, even in general. I can't see how this tracks for a societal or even a personal good. But it brings us to a much broader point. I don't think either of our opponents can possibly justify pornography, for instance. Within both of our worldviews, it would necessarily have to be bad. From the Alex perspective, just using empiricism and science, we can clearly see the damage porn does to society, and men in particular. It rewires the brain and sexual gratification sensory, requiring more and more viewing in order to reach a climax, which necessarily requires worse and worse veins of pornography to do so. The same would also have to be true of sex partners to the tune of hundreds to thousands. This would have the same porn-like effect for a man, where crazier and weirder sex acts would be required to climax, like perhaps eventually having sex with a transgender person when you say you aren't a homosexual, as an example. Not only that, but we need to look closely at the fact that these guys talk about game. I'm a hunter. Hunters talk about game. Game is what we hunt. Our pickup artist friends over here also hunt game, and what they mean by game is what we mean by game. The thing they are hunting is women. Of course, this is insane because the point of their hunt is the trophy at the end, and that must necessarily be true from their position as well as ours. This means, ladies and gentlemen, they consider pussy a trophy. I'm sure that empowers men everywhere, now doesn't it? I'm positive women are totally unempowered by the knowledge that simps everywhere view their vaginas as a trophy. Unlike the deer, though, women do have high cognitive function just like men and use that to their advantage, creating even further disempowerment for men. I'm sure women everywhere are just as upset as can be knowing men are hunting for their vaginas and sexual gratification, and will in no way take significant advantage of that at an intuitive and societal level to stack the cards in their fucking favor. This entire idea of pickup artistry is immoral, inconsistent, and it's fucking stupid, to be honest with you. It's counterintuitive to its own goals, which, if we look at my original definition, is supposed to be to empower men. And that's my opening statement.
All right, and I'm going to open the floor specifically up for Alex and John, because those are a lot of charges laid out. John, you talked first, and I want to give you the floor, actually, so you can actually levy some questions towards Andrew. So I'll let you guys go first. Go for it.
Unless you want me to go first, John. It's up to you.
No, I want to.
Okay.
First off, are you guys virgins?
Married.
Yeah, I'm married as well.
But you waited till marriage to have sex?
No.
Nope.
So, but that's your position? Is that's what everyone should do?
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, do you think that just because a person makes mistakes, like let's say I had murdered somebody, would it then be improper for me to advocate that nobody murdered people?
Or a recovering heroin addict to say don't do heroin, that kind of thing. Yeah.
No, you're basically just making an extreme point, but I mean that's not really relevant.
What's extreme about it?
I just want to point out the fact that you guys are defending a position that you're both hypocritical about to start.
Well, how could we be hypocritical about it? We live the same values right now that we advocate for, saying that once upon a time we did
You're already
something.
married, though.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
saying that because we
It's easy
acted.
not being girls now.
Wait, I'm sorry. Because saying that we acted out of turn at some point before we recovered from whatever that thing was, and so we advocate a worldview that's consistent with how we live our lifestyle and our value structure, that's not only not inconsistent, but you would have to make the case that that somehow if you murdered a person, that it would be improper for you to advocate not to murder people. Of course, it would be proper for you to advocate not to murder people.
I'm just saying you're hypocritical. That's the only thing. That's factual.
Well, no. Hang on. Hypocritical, I think, would imply that you haven't changed your behavior. Like if we were advocating for a monogamous lifestyle, but then it came to fruition that Andrew and I were both engaging in your guys' lifestyle, like in open relationships and whatnot, that would be hypocritical.
Okay. Can I answer that?
Like if I said, real quick, if I said like I'm a recovered heroin addict, but it turns out I've been doing it behind closed doors like for a long time, that would be hypocritical. But if you're not doing that behavior anymore, that's not hypocritical. That's just repenting. That's changing your behavior. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's say that you were having my lifestyle, banging 1,500 girls, and then you changed last week and got married, and you're like, it's not hypocritical, we changed, but you lived your whole life fucking girls. So you're calling that like a mistake.
No,
I'm
that's
calling it hypocritical.
Well, no, that's a straw man. So if you were to say that you fucked 1,500 girls and then got married last week, and then advocated that fucking the 1,500 girls was incorrect, and then advocated for the married lifestyle based on the values that you currently hold, there would be no hypocrisy. What would
Okay,
the
so our
hypocrisy
values can
be?
change.
But it would be quite convenient.
And then we're not hypocrites. Okay.
Well, I'm sorry.
like-
Well, hang on. What do you think hypocrite means? What do you think that means?
I think that if you guys didn't wait till marriage, you don't know what it's like in the fucking pain that men are going through. I get clients like this all the time that are like in pain because they can't act
I'd
out
like
their
to know what
natural
you think
biological
hypocrite
desire.
means, though. Well, not an example.
It means someone who's living a life different than what they're proclaiming, like the red pill
Okay.
coaches.
Are we
Are
doing
we-
that?
and
Are we doing that?
You were.
Well,
That's
but
the
are
point.
we currently doing that?
No, but in your example,
so then we
heroin
can't.
addicts and murderers,
Well, wait,
if
John.
anyone
Then,
changes on a dime,
John, then we can't currently be hypocrites. We could only be
Okay,
hypocrites.
so you were
Okay,
hypocrites.
so you were past hypocrites then.
No, we weren't even past hypocrites. We would only be past hypocrites if in the past
no
we were
logical
doing
sense.
that while
You're a
advocating
hypocrite
against
now, or
it.
you're a past
But don't you think
hypocrite?
it's a little convenient that you're like that your value
Of course.
system just goes along with what you're doing? This is like a guy who's like saying
Yeah,
that
it's pretty convenient.
Yeah, that's what it's
Stealing-
supposed to do.
oh stealing is so wrong. Stealing is so wrong. Wait, dude, but
Just for today, it's okay. And now,
Well, wait, hang on. Back up. Why would your values not change, and then you advocate for what
Well,
those
because
values
now-
are? That
okay,
doesn't
so
make
Don't you
any
believe
sense.
ethics is absolute?
I think that it can be absolute depending on your worldview.
let me explain. Let me explain
is
like
it
this.
absolute for you?
You guys are married now, so you can get plenty of sex, assumingly from your wives, right? But so it's pretty easy for you guys to say now, well, you should wait until marriage. But you personally could not wait until marriage. So by what
Not that we
right-
could not, that we chose not to.
we chose us, but by what right do you then tell other people that, well, you guys
I
should
feel
wait?
like we already won the
can do
debate
it,
here.
but you guys should do it.
Well, again,
No.
I think the heroin addict is the perfect analogy where it's like
No, it's
somebody
not.
can be addicted to heroin for 20 years and then they stop for 1 year and they're like they're back to their sober self and they can start advocating against heroin use. It doesn't make them a hypocrite. It's not convenient. It's not, you can't say, oh, it's convenient for you because you're sober now. It's like, no, I realized what I did was wrong and now I'm advocating against what I was doing because
And by
it
the
was
way,
wrong.
by
But
the way,
difference is
hang
that
on,
heroin
real
addict
quick.
is no longer
This
getting
I-
heroin, right? Versus you guys are still having sex from your wife.
Okay,
So-
but wait a second. So John
Yeah.
just says, "Well, wait, I just feel like we won the debate." But he defined hypocrite and then defined us as not being hypocrites. So
Yeah.
how in the world could you say that you won?
No, by
anything?
your definition of hypocrite.
No,
I
your
said that you
definition's
know
what we
past
used.
hypocrites.
No, we'll agree to your
I think
definition.
you are now. I called you that.
Hang on, no, we
but-
all
but
agreed
then
to the
you
definition.
defined it. You defined it, and when you defined it, you said it's
You're
somebody
just
who
playing
is
semantic games.
No,
I
this-
mean,
no,
Alex-
no.
Alex
Hang
said it
on.
clearly. It's
Semantics-
very convenient.
wait,
We can move on from
semantics-
that point.
Wait, semantics are important when we're defining terms. I asked you for your definition of hypocrisy. You told me what it was. We agreed with that definition. And by that definition, you agreed we're not hypocrites. You won nothing.
Okay, then don't use the definition of hypocrite. It's very convenient to use.
Yeah, so okay, fine. Maybe John will revise his position. So maybe you guys are not hypocrites by that definition. I guess the point then he wants to make, I'm assuming, is that it's just very, very convenient for you now to be advocating against premarital sex now that you're married and having sex.
Yeah, but convenient. What's the argument for convenience? What would that matter? Even if we did the most convenient thing on our own behalf for what we advocate, that's not an argument. What's the argument?
Gentlemen, here, if let me intervene. This is where I need to intervene and pull it back, gentlemen. So, John, can you establish for the audience why, in this scenario, Zen and Andrew being hypocrites would discredit the worldview
because
of that
what
that
it
they're
sounds like,
positing?
first of all, I don't believe in ethics. Okay, I don't believe there's an absolute basis for ethics. And anyone that studies, evolutionary biology and all these different things, they're going to understand there's absolutely nothing. If we just come together, like look at Thomas Hobbes, right? You guys are familiar with Thomas Hobbes and the social contract? People were just killing each other. There was all kinds of nonsense happening, right? There was no law. And then they came together. Ethics came about from the church and from the state. So did monogamy. Okay, neither of those things are natural whatsoever. If you study modern neuroscience, they found that people are only monogamous if they have a certain thing in their brain. We don't have it. There's certain species of monkeys that have it. It's something that's forced by institutions. Okay, and that's where I take issue with it. I'm in agreement with some of your points regarding
Pedro.
Yeah, I'm working on it in the back. I'm working on it in the background, Zen.
Go ahead.
Keep going. Sorry about that, John.
Okay.
Finish your statement.
Regarding red pill, I agree. I think red pill is trash. I've spoken out actively against it. And I'm not advocating that guys go fuck as many girls as they can. I want to make that clear. All I'm doing, like, think of it this way from my point of view. Just give it, I know you don't agree with it, but any guy that wants to talk to a female has a strategy. It's just normally a very bad strategy. So we're just equipping them with a better strategy so that they have better chances of getting a random stranger they walk up to, getting a date. They don't even need to sleep with the girls, but just having opportunities to get to know someone. There's better ways of carrying on an interaction. There's better ways to text than others. There's better ways to run your date than others. And everyone has a strategy. So we're not doing anything different. I'm not advocating that guys go bang as many girls as they can and use women. All I'm doing is giving them better strategies so that they can have more dates and find a girl they click with, and then they can settle down in a relationship or a marriage, or they can go bang more girls, which I think is also fine. It's really up to them and what they want to do. But most guys are going to end up with an ugly wife if they don't develop some character and other things that come along with dating a lot of girls.
So
you see pictures of the wives of their wives, or is that?
No, I'd like to respond. Well, I'd like to respond to that.
So can I just add to that before they respond, or should?
I mean, that's a lot of charges laid out, Alex.
Okay.
They need to be able to address that. So, Andrew, you go, and then Alex, we'll throw it back to you for your questions.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay, so first and foremost, you say that you're not advocating. Like I said in the original definition, which it sounds like you agree with that I laid out, the most charitable one that we could come up with is that you're just equipping men with the tools in order to gain the confidence that they need to approach women. And then what they do with the tools from there is up to them. Would you agree that that's kind of what you're saying here?
Yes.
Okay, so you would agree that that definition essentially is correct, the charitable one that we're using to describe kind of your outlook on this?
Yes.
Okay, well, if that's true, then you have to reconcile that with the fact that you're fucking 1,500 women, right?
That's different. That's me. I probably am a sex addict.
Yeah, if you're in order to reconcile this, you're saying that as an example, you being an example in this case for your audience, what cues are they taking from you? Are they taking the cue to go fuck 1,500 women, or are they taking the cue to go settle down with a nice wife? Which one do you think is more likely?
Probably the cue about banging a lot of girls.
Yeah, probably.
Honest.
So when we talk about your value structures and your morality, it's fair for us to assume that when you guys say to us, we're just trying to equip men with the right tools to do the right thing, that you're kind of full of shit, because you, by your own admission, you're saying what men are going to do is take my value structure and apply it.
Okay. Well, can I respond? Can I get my retort? Because I want to clean up. I want to clean up what John said earlier, because actually Andrew made a somewhat decent point. It's not the perfect. I think a much better way of phrasing that is it just hurts your credibility. It's like a person who used to steal to feed their starving family, but once they move to a first world country where food is abundant, they go on and they say, "Oh, you should never steal to feed your family. It's so unethical." Meanwhile, you used to do the same thing when you didn't have food. It's the same thing here. Yeah, now that you're getting sex from your wife, you're saying, "Oh, it's so unethical to have sex, outside of wedlock." But then when you didn't have a wife, you were doing that. So I don't think it's hypocritical. I just think it hurts your credibility. The hypocritical part,
Alex, just to kind of throw a wrench in that, like, real quick. The analogy here is that, like, if you're gonna gish gallop. I want to throw a wrench.
Zen, you have to let him finish. I think this is where you got to take notes. I will give it to you next.
I don't take notes.
Finish, Alex.
No way.
I take massive amounts of notes. Let me finish this point. I'm almost done. The hypocritical part, I will actually point out the hypocritical part. The hypocritical part came in the first debate that I had with Andrew when he was accusing me of encouraging behavior that hurts health, because admittedly, if you have a lot of casual sex, you can basically catch an STD. There's a small risk of that, and that hurts your health. The hypocritical part is while he's saying that, he's chain smoking cigarettes, which directly hurts his health. So that is the hypocritical part. That's a hypocritical component. The previous thing about you guys having sex before marriage, that just hurts your credibility.
So let me tell you, like, if in regard to your first analogy about like living in a third world country where you had to steal food to survive, or just living poor where you had to steal food to survive, and then you acquire a solid grounding for your quality of life, and you don't need to steal anymore, and you say, oh, that's immoral. Well, to make this perfectly analogous, wouldn't it have to be the case that we were like incels? And I mean like the literal definition of incel, like involuntary celibate. Like we're celibate, but we aren't doing it intentionally. We just didn't have access to sex. Now we've got a wife where we do have access to sex, and we say that it's immoral. What if the two of us actually did have access to premarital sex, and we were doing it, so it was available? It was available to do. So it's not like the food. It's not like your analogy with the food where it wasn't available. So if we actually have access to sex and we're not, and then we choose to go into a monogamous marriage, then we aren't doing it out of necessity because we already had access to the sex prior. We're not just doing it because it's so convenient and it makes us these moral grandstanders. We're doing it because we do truly believe that's what's right. We're not just hypocrites.
Well,
but you didn't have access to your wife. That's the thing. So it is analogous because you did not have access to your wife because you weren't married yet. That's why you were having premarital sex.
Well,
but now that you're married, now you're saying you shouldn't do it.
Let's say
That's what hurts your credibility.
I just want to ask you this, okay? Because I need you to kind of understand this concept. I know that John does. He's got it down pat. But
okay,
if your brother raped a girl, let's say, horribly, horrifically, and he went to prison for 10 years and he came out and he advocated that people no longer rape girls, would you call him a hypocrite?
No, but I would say it hurts his credibility.
Okay, why would it hurt his credibility? Wouldn't he have the most amount of credibility to tell you what you shouldn't do, considering that he did that
because
thing?
He's telling you not to do something, especially when he's morally grandstanding, something that he did.
Well, wait. Wouldn't he have the most credibility, Alex, because he can draw the best comparison, having had both? For instance, we're on this panel, and we are both married. You are both not married. But all four of us have slept with women outside of wedlock. We have the experience of both to make the analogy between the two, so we can make a better determination for which is better. That's one. And two, can you explain to me how it is that he wouldn't have better experience, determinative experience, having done both of those things, to be the kind of deal breaker there, to explain to people why this is bad, these are the results of it, this kind of thing. And you would say that he has no credibility, even though he himself experienced it, did it, this type of thing. You think that makes a lot of sense, Alex?
It takes away from his credibility when he's advocating against something that he used to do. And also, I think the analogy isn't perfectly analogous because we're talking about something. We're talking about sex right now.
Well, almost no analogy is perfectly analogous, but it is analogous.
It's barely because now you have access to sex through your wife, right? So now that you have access to sex,
did we have access to sex before our wives?
Not with your wife.
But did we have access to sex before our wives?
I don't know. You're saying you do, so I'll just take your word.
Okay, so if you're taking our word for it that we had access to sex before our wives and access to sex with our wives, then we have the most amount of experience to draw from to speak on both of these issues, right?
Yeah, but it's also a major credibility issue because when you weren't married,
there's no credibility issue.
Okay, well, if you let me finish, I'll explain. Before you were married, you were like, oh yeah, you were thinking, well, I guess there's nothing wrong with having premarital sex. Now that you get married and you have your wife's pussy to fall back on, and then you're saying, oh, well, people shouldn't have premarital sex when it was something that you were doing before you had access to your wife's pussy.
It's just not. This isn't the right avenue to go down, dude. It's like, I mean, literally, you could do this with literally anything. You could say that like a 2-year-old doesn't have access to mathematics, but then when they turn old enough to, comprehend mathematics, now they're using it to their advantage. Oh, how convenient! They didn't have access to it before, but now they do. It's like I mean, you could literally apply that. You could apply what I just did with anything, and it would work.
Not the same. No,
Well,
it is the same.
Okay, let me try and do my job.
Well, how's it not the same, John?
A 2-year-old didn't have access to mathematics. So you're saying you're talking
quickly.
about
Let's walk through it. Let's walk through it slowly. 2-year-old didn't have access to mathematics. Pre-married man did not have access to married sex. Okay, go on. Go ahead.
Okay, and no, continue from there. What are you saying?
Okay, so what you're saying is that it's not the same. I'm showing you why the analogy is exactly the same. 2-year-old didn't have access to math. Pre-married man did not have access to married sex.
Math is an
two-year-old
immoral
grows older and
decision.
now has access to math, and now he's using it to his advantage and whatever. Married man now has access to married sex and is using it to
There's
his
no
advantage.
ethical implication with math.
Yeah, well, there could be an ethical implication for
That's the
math.
difference.
Let's say
you're
you're a member of a math cult and you derived all ethics from math. You could do
Hold on,
that.
we're already shown his analogy doesn't apply.
Okay,
His analogy does apply. Why wouldn't it apply?
Perfect, dude.
Pose the question like this: in the example I gave, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, Pedro used to live in fucking Somalia, where he used to steal to feed his family. Sorry, Pedro, I don't mean to throw you under the bus.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
He used to steal to feed his family, right?
Is
And
he a pirate? Is he a Somalian pirate?
Definitely
Fucking
Somalian.
Somalian pirate. He had a fucking eye patch.
I am the captain now.
He went all out. Yeah, he was like Eric Cartman, right?
And then
And
when
then
he's rich,
then he moves to America, and then he gets a job, and he has access to food. And then he's like, you know what, guys? I think stealing, even if it is to feed your starving family, is morally wrong, right? Wouldn't you say that hurts his credibility because he used to do that same thing before he had access to the food?
It increases his credibility.
But before you guys go any further, Alex, I want to tell you right now, I am so much against the woke culture. I give you my black. I dub it to you right now for the future to use in every other day. You have the black card, so use it at your disposal. Max the suffer out.
Did you just give him an N-word pass?
Oh
I
no!
wasn't even trying to go there at all. My mind wasn't even there. But
Well, I mean,
You guys can pass it around amongst your friends. Go for it.
I just made Somalia purely at random. I promise.
Right, that's the joke, though. But yeah, so no, he would have more credibility.
Pedro, real quick. They're saying you're muted on the Crucible on the Crucible stream. You are muted.
Yeah.
So you think that would give Pedro more credibility that even though he used to steal when it was necessary to feed his family, now that he has food that he doesn't steal, you think that would give him more credibility?
So I'll explain to you how, maybe in an easier way.
Okay.
Okay, so let's say you have somebody who was in prison, and then they got out of prison, and they advocate that being out of prison is far better than being in prison. Why do they have credibility to make that claim, Alex?
Not the same, dude.
Yeah.
Alex, why do they have credibility to make that claim?
You're talking about something that's no longer the case.
Alex, why do they have credibility to make that claim, Alex? Why do they have credibility to make the claim?
Would apply if you were a monk and you were no longer having sex.
Alex, why would they have credibility to make that
the
claim?
analogy doesn't make sense to you,
it's
so
a
he's not
leading
going to answer it.
Then just answer the question. If
No,
it
because
doesn't
it's
make
a loaded
sense,
question.
hang on. If the analogy makes no sense, then just answer the question, and then it should be nonsensical. Let's find out if that's true. Alex,
You can't answer that question because
you
the
can't answer it, huh?
No.
Because the audience won't understand the logical fallacy.
Yeah, it's just a massive logical fallacy.
What's
That would
the
only
fallacy?
apply-
Yeah, what is
that? Would
it?
only apply if you were a monk now and you weren't having sex.
What's
That
the
would-
logical fallacy?
Yeah, what's
Alex?
the fallacy?
Because
I just told you.
you're still having
Well,
sex.
okay,
That's
so
that's not a
guys,
logical fallacy.
I don't want to get super nerdy here, but like when you invoke a logical fallacy, you're going to need to like point out precisely where it doesn't follow, what's the contradiction. That
He's
kind of
telling you.
You're comparing apples to oranges.
Okay, well, hang on. Let me back up. I'm going to repeat the question. I just want you to give me the answer to it,
Okay.
regardless
No, it's a loaded question.
of where you think it'll
It's a
go.
loaded
Okay,
question.
So how about I unload it? Do you think a man who has been in prison, who leaves
That's not
prison,
unloading
and then
it. You know what a loaded question is?
advocates for freedom,
You
would
put up an
have-
assertion that's wrong.
Well, wait,
and then you're like,
I'm-
look,
what's
this
the
is deductive
assertion?
Proof of my wrong assertion.
What do you think? Do you think means? Is that an assertion?
Oh, you're going to talk about Descartes?
Well, wait. Is that? What am I asserting?
You're putting out something there that's wrong in the first place, and you're asking the audience to use deductive logic to show that you're right about
Well,
it.
what am I putting out that's wrong?
Dude, we can follow this train of thought. I'm just telling
let's
you right
please
now.
do.
Alex already told you, dude.
This is insane. Look, the reason you know that a
deductive
person,
logic. Huh?
the reason.
Okay,
that-
ready here. I'll show you what you're doing. Santa
show
Claus
me.
and Jesus are the same. Do you think Santa Claus is real? Do you think Santa Claus is real? Tell me. Answer the question.
No,
Do you think
I don't think Santa Claus is real.
Okay. And then the audience is going to take away, okay, then Jesus isn't real either because he said Santa Claus is real.
Well, we would just disagree with that.
The thing is, you did load a question to be like, if I asked you, John, how long have you been gay? That's a loaded question because in the yes/no dichotomy, no matter which way you answer, it'd be incorrect. I have not asked
Correct.
a yes/no. I have not asked a yes/no question. I simply asked.
Doesn't need to be.
I simply asked.
You're
Hang on.
using it to fit your wrong assumption.
John. Let me repeat the question. And I need you to tell me
No,
exactly
because
what's
it's
wrong
going
with
to
it.
disprove you're wrong. It's going to
Then let me ask
Okay.
it, John.
to the audience. there's something called deduction.
Are you going to let me
He's putting
ask
out a
it?
false assumption, and then he's saying it's like Jesus existing. There's another false assumption.
Oh, okay,
Zero empirical evidence for that.
Okay,
Yeah,
And then
I mean,
he-
but John,
But-
but John, you just listen to his question. You have to kind of grapple with it.
No, it's an unfair question, and you should.
Okay,
be
can we
as
please
a
let him
fucking
repeat
moderator.
it? Because I've almost forgotten what the question even is.
I'm just
by now.
gonna
No,
You don't have to answer it.
Incorrect assumption.
Look, you don't have to
Okay,
answer
okay.
it.
Well, Andrew, he does not want to answer the question.
He doesn't
so we
have
can't
to, but
force
I
him
still want to assert my question back to Alex.
Okay.
Okay.
Alex, if a man was in prison and after he gets out of prison, he advocates that freedom and being out of prison is better than being in prison, do you think
Pedro,
that
hold on. I have to step in. This is an unfair thing. The audience doesn't understand.
You know
what
what's
you're doing.
unfair is cutting him off
sir,
every time he
yeah,
answers.
yeah,
don't
but sir,
care.
here, wait,
I
Zen,
don't
let me
care. We're
handle
not-
it. Let me handle it.
Whoa.
Literally the only rule we
Zen,
established.
you're gonna create more chaos.
No cutting people off.
Zen, you're only going to create more chaos. John, I'm telling you right now, I understand as another debater why you don't want to answer the question. That's cool.
It's
That's
not.
fine.
No, dude.
But
No, now you're twisting my words.
You're not allowed to not allow the other debaters to not feel the
Let
question.
me state my position, please,
Okay.
so you can understand. Okay, with his example where he said to me, "Are you gay?" Answer the question, right? Or do you like men? What was it?
that wasn't the question?
How
The
long
question
have you
was,
liked
how
men?
long have
Okay.
you been gay?
Okay. So for the record, I'm not into dudes whatsoever. Okay,
Well,
I know
no,
you made
that's
a
not the
comment.
point. Wait,
Okay.
that's not the point, though.
Okay,
That's
but
not,
here's the
that's
point.
nothing to do with
This
it.
guy's a
Here's the
philosophy
point.
major? No, you're fucking not, dude. I don't believe you. When did you drop out? That's an unloaded question.
I'll
When
show
did you
the
drop
degree,
out of philosophy
motherfucker.
school?
I'm sure I'm
Yo,
100
come
times
on.
smarter than
Okay.
you. You believe in a fucking
To
fairy
make sure it
tale.
doesn't get personal.
Let me-
Okay.
all right, let me-
It doesn't need to get personal, John. I get what you're saying. Just let Alex try and interact with Andrew's
No.
question.
Dude,
Let him finish.
this is off the rails. Okay, you can't
Okay.
fucking load up a question with a bad assumption just to get a little show
What's
for
the
the
bad
audience.
ass-
to
what's the
show
bad
your
assumption?
point is
Pedro,
correct.
they
What am
still
I-
can't
as a
hear you.
moderator-
I'm sorry. Hey, guys,
Hold
I'm
on.
sorry. Pedro, they still can't hear you. on the
I'm working on that, Zen, but I have to mod at the
Well,
same
what's-
time.
What's the
Yes,
assumption?
And then he says you guys are scared to answer the question. No, he's making an unfair move, and as a referee, you need to call
Well,
that
then
out.
tell me,
I'm
you
calling
still
it
have
out.
not explained what's loaded, what the unfair assumption is, what the
Yes,
unfair.
we have. Yes,
well,
we have.
why don't you do it again? And we're going to be quiet on this side, but you need to actually explain the logical fallacy or the assumption that I'm making that's
Okay.
incorrect or anything like that. In just asking this question, that's insane. But you got the floor.
Okay, I'll let Alex feel it because I like the way he put it.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is is that you're comparing apples to oranges and you're setting up a premise where you're pretending like we're comparing apples to apples. I will happily follow your train of logic. I'm just pointing
Right.
out that it is flawed. So if you want to ask this question, I will humor it. But because I don't want the assumption made that I'm afraid to answer questions, but I'm telling you, like, your line of logic right now, where you were going, is entirely flawed. Because again,
Explain why. So
Yeah,
everyone
explain
can
why
understand.
so everyone can know.
They want you to admit that apples are apples when they're oranges, and Pedro's saying we're scared because we don't want to say apples and oranges are different.
He's not saying you're scared. He's not saying
Okay.
you're scared.
In the example that Andrew that he was going with, he was going to say, well, a person who gets out of prison, doesn't he have a really good basis to talk about why going to prison is a bad thing, right? And he's going to use that to compare it to his own situation where he was having casual sex, but now that he's married, he's more or less reformed. But that analogy does not apply because he's still having sex. It would only apply if Andrew was now a monk who completely abstained from sex, and his argument was that sex is evil. Then the analogy would be analogous, and that would be perfect. Then you could make that argument.
Great.
However,
Then you ought be able to make a claim against this, or you ought be able to answer it in a way that makes sense in the context of what you're saying. So let me field the question to you one more time.
No, he's doing it again. This is fucking dumb.
No,
I don't think
I'll-
anybody understands what he's doing.
I'll entertain
He's
it.
just
I've already
fucking-
pointed out why the
Well,
Okay,
John, I reject.
here, I'll do it this way.
No,
I'll
I
do it this
reject
way.
that it's not analogous. I reject that, and I can prove it by following logic, and we're going to determine which one of us is correct and which one of us is wrong.
Well,
What's
guys,
the problem with
yeah.
that, John? Can you tell me what the issue is there?
You know what the problem is.
No, there's no
You're saying,
problem.
look, Alex has explained to you.
No,
Apples,
Alex explained.
oranges.
He explained his assumption, and I reject his assumption.
How?
So you do
because
think it's apples
because
to
he
apples.
he put in a presupposition that I'm going to compare this to some other bizarre situation. He has no idea what any comparison is going to be. He has no idea, nothing. There's no reason for him not to answer the question. Let him answer it.
I know what it is because I heard the question, and it's apples and oranges. So
Well,
it's an unfair
it's-
question.
well,
It should be disqualified.
Yeah. How about this, guys? Alex, if you want to interact right now, tell me so. If not, we'll move on. If so, we're going to go to a different line of questioning.
Fine.
Okay.
We'll move on. We'll move on. Why don't you guys field whatever questions you want to us? We'll actually answer them.
But before you do that, Pedro, hang on. Before you do that, I'm sorry,
This guy's
Pedro.
just fucking playing
Real
dirty.
quick, I'm sorry, John, hang on, please.
Yeah.
I don't want to take
Pedro.
away. I don't
Pedro,
want to.
unmute. Hang on, I just want to tell Pedro, unmute yourself, or no, mute yourself on the Crucible stream, and then send all your audio through here, and that way, when you're sharing the audio, it'll just feed through the Crucible. But mute yourself on the Crucible stream.
Gotcha.
That makes
Good to go.
Okay, so yeah, I don't want to set the precedent that we're not answering questions.
That's not what it is, dude. You know that's not what it is. He's
If you're
fucking with us
verbally-
more. You know, listen, I'll fucking leave. If there's gonna be an unfair fight, I'll fucking leave. Like, Pedro's not doing his job, straight up.
All right, I mean, like, I
Alex, I gotta say right now, I'm not Captain Save-A-Ho, so if he wants to leave, he can leave.
Okay.
But for right now, if we move to a different line, we can move to a different line if we want.
Yeah,
but
let's do that. But we're not scared to answer his bullshit line of questioning. Okay, let's make that.
No one said you were scared, John.
Yeah, no. Look, let's
That's
just
the
allow it.
implication. He said we'll actually answer the
Alex, really quick. Even as a fellow debater, John, I know what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. I know why you're discrediting the argument. I get it. You don't want to answer the question. I would, in some instances, say the same thing on different subjects if this kind of thing has been done. I'm not calling you afraid. No one called you afraid, okay? Stay or leave. We can move on now.
Be clear. I'm not going to keep fucking bullshitting around, guys. He's saying we'll actually answer the question. So the audience is like, they don't want to answer the question.
Yeah, but I don't care what your audience
You
thinks.
put up a
I care
bullshit
about
assumption.
logic and reason, John. I don't give a
Yeah,
fuck
from a
what your
bullshit
audience
assumption.
thinks, John. I don't fucking care about your audience, John. Answer my fucking questions.
I'll send you a mathematical proof after, and I'll make it a community post to show you where your logic is wrong.
Right,
Next
you're going to
question.
do it mathematically.
No, this should be simple. It should be simple to point out where, like, in premise one, premise two, conclusion, it doesn't follow. Like, which of the premises
Guys, just move to a different line of questions. Just Alex, I'm going to hand it to you. Ask a different question to send us on a different line. Go for it.
Okay. In spirit of being standing with solidarity with my team partner, I'll just move on to a different line of questioning. Okay. My mind went totally off track. Okay. I want to go back to what Zen was saying in his opening statement. So let me just, because I wrote down what he was saying. I want to just quickly. Okay, so
Hold on. What are the rules here? Like in a
The only rule that was invoked was
the
really
only
called
rule that we have is no interrupting, really, and no personal.
Okay, but that would be called leading the witness, and the judge is supposed to come in and fucking stop that, and a lawyer can yell objection. When I did that, we were painted out to be scared. So I just want to know what's going on here.
Well, I objected to your objection. So shouldn't we leave it to the judge to see who they fall down on since he's the judge, John?
Well, we can't because the Crucible stream can't fucking hear Pedro. We can't appeal to the moderator right now. We got to handle this between us.
But we
All right.
can appeal to the moderator. The moderator can hear us. So
Okay,
if you say in a court of law objection and I object to your objection, who do we appeal to, John?
The judge.
Okay, well, great. So
You
then
knew that
if the
was a
judge
leading
says that it's
question.
okay for me to ask the question, you shouldn't have any complaints, right, John?
You're doing it again.
Pedro.
If I do, it's your logic and reasoning here, John.
Let's just keep this on track. Pedro, so what is your decision? Are we moving to a different line of questioning?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Let's try to not get into personal attacks and just going to do the whole thing.
He already has. He's been nesting them in all of his
Okay.
fucking responses.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. Let's not get into.
I'm sorry to keep like interrupting with this stuff, but apparently, Pedro, nobody can hear you on either stream.
Yikes. Okay.
You
One
want to take a
second.
minute? You want
We can hear you, though.
We can fix that.
Okay. Yeah.
I
do we
think
fix that?
should. I really think we should take a
Okay,
second,
let's
fix
go on.
that audio issue.
Let's take a second. Let's fix that, and then we'll get back into it. That's fine.
We'll just take a break because we're gonna go down a new line anyway. We're not really cutting anything off here. So
Okay. One's in Alex's chat. If you can hear me right now, this is just Alex's stream.
Our screen
okay,
just went down.
So
Yeah, I took it down for a second.
Okay.
Don't worry. I'm not
Alex
going to
is
start.
at ones if you can hear Pedro. They are all putting ones in, so they can hear you.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, good to go. Now 1 second. Studio.
Okay, so it's good on Alex's stream.
On the plus side, we have 370 live viewers. So,
Yeah, we're chilling. Everybody hit the like button.
yeah.
Ready.
Just let me know whenever you guys have it fixed on your end. We'll just wait.
Got it. Okay. One's in Alex's chat if you can still hear me.
Okay, one's in Alex's chat if you can still hear Pedro. One more time. Okay, we got 1-1.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Multiple. Okay, yep, they can hear you.
Okay. Now I'm bringing up our stream. Still should be good.
Okay.
Reason why it wouldn't be.
You're showing the chat right now.
Okay.
So,
all right. One's in our chat on our stream if you can hear us.
all right, chat, Crucible chat, one's in chat if you can hear Pedro. Still says muted. Got 0.
God.
0, 0, 0.
Just move them over to Alex's chat.
Yeah. Everybody, I'm going to send you the link. You're going to have to watch this on
Keep the stream running. Keep the stream running on our chat, on ours. But send everybody get into Playing with Fire. Get into his live stream. Boost his algorithm and like his shit too. I mean, he's hosting the fucking debate for, So go over there. Go to Playing with Fire. Put the link in chat for him, Pedro. Let's keep moving with the debate.
Oh shit! I put the wrong.
Afterwards, you can you're more than welcome to just take this and repost on your channel.
We'll probably do exactly that. We'll probably download it and then re-upload it. But for now, get over there to literally type it in.
Okay. Let me know when you're ready for me to continue, Pedro.
Right. Actually, I was going to hand it over to John. So John feels like he's been slighted right now. And I'm trying to remedy that. So I want to hand it over to him. Okay. Take us with the next question that you have, John.
Can I do like a point-by-point response? Because I think Andrew made some points that I want to respond to, but I didn't take full notes. So
yes, sir.
Let me just be piecing through I banged 1,500 girls. I probably am a sex addict, right? I'll admit that. But I tell my students very clearly that the goal is not to bang a lot of girls, even though that I did that. I tell them that that's how I made the system so good because I evolved and optimized it with all that data.
Well, does that make you a hypocrite, John?
No, because I tell them they can bang a lot of girls if they want to. No, because they can bang a lot of girls if they want to. Right. I don't tell them any. I don't give them any.
Well, that's awful convenient, John. It's awful convenient, isn't it? That you're just flowing whatever your ethical flow is with what your current belief structure is.
I don't have an absolute basis for ethics.
Right. So the thing is, though, is that aren't you being hypocritical by levying that same charge against us in your internal critique? That makes no sense, John.
No, because I'm not advocating that guys shouldn't fuck a lot of chicks. I'm not doing the opposite of that. They can go fuck a lot of chicks if they want. I'm not defining what their direction is. I'm just equipping them with a better strategy.
Right, but earlier we had already gone over this, and I asked you which one do you thought was more likely, if you thought that they were more likely to follow the in suit for what you're doing, banging 1,500 chicks, or if it's more likely that they're going to go settle down and get married. And you had conceded that you thought it was far more likely that they would follow suit with you. And
we did a poll on this. We did a poll on this on our channel, and 40% said they want to date multiple girls. I think 20 or 30% wanted to have a monogamous girlfriend. So the reason why I make such a big deal out of how many girls I slept with is just to show proof that I've actually gone through and done all these situations thousands of times.
Okay, so then by your poll, I'm correct, and you were correct in your assumption that most of them are going to follow suit and try to have sex with lots of women, right?
But would you agree that's a little different than him taking a strong position and saying...
Well, I mean, what does that mean, seeing a lot of girls at once? Doesn't that infer that it's likely that they're going to have sex with a lot of girls? or they're going to try to have sex with
They're
multiple
saying
women.
rotation, which means just at least more than one sexual, but just a non-monogamous casual dating situation.
Right.
I think
Okay.
we are comparing apples to oranges again. But it would be
We
analogous.
have a poll. That's empiricism now. How are we comparing apples and
It
oranges
would be
now, Alex?
analogous. Well, I'm going to explain it. It would be analogous if John was now saying, yo, I don't think you should have sex with a lot of girls. I think you should only have sex with one girl. Then you would have a point. If he changed his position like that, if he did a 180 on that position, then you would have a point that it would be extremely hurt his credibility.
That's
But
not
he's
my point.
focusing on the dimension of just what I appear on the, like, when on my channel, when I'm talking
Right.
about banging a lot of girls, what are guys going to take away from that? But that's just a problem potentially with the messaging. I try to use that as proof to show that I'm different than these other guys in the space, but I agree that the messaging could give guys the wrong idea.
Right. And
we've actually noticed that internally, and we've made adjustments over the
Right.
past couple months to not focus on that as
But
being such a
but
big
your
deal.
own internal polling shows.
They 40% want to be dating more than one girl.
Right. So your internal polling shows that regardless of what the adjustments
That
you
doesn't
have
mean
made,
tons of girls.
okay, even if it doesn't, it's going to be more than one in a monogamous relationship, and certainly none of them are clamoring to get married if they're dating
But
multiple girls. Likely,
Andrew,
right?
he's not saying it's bad. He's not going the opposite direction. He's just saying that he's agnostic about it. He wants his clients, as far as I understand, to do what's best for them.
I'm not
just giving them
arguing
better
that.
strategy.
I'm not even arguing that.
Is that correct, John? Like you're kind of agnostic about this. You don't care if your clients use the strategy.
I don't
girlfriend.
tell them at all. I don't tell them at all that how many girls they should be with, or that they should date multiple girls.
You're agnostic. Yeah, you're agnostic about their goals.
All I'm doing, like let me simplify my position more. Like if you realize that, like let's say a guy that knew nothing about formal pickup, realized that when he says like A versus B, the girl responds more positive to A, and he tells his friend like, hey, try saying this instead. He's just now taught that guy a better strategy that's going to, in the long run, presumably, it's a small sample size, but for the argument's sake, we could increase the sample size. If there's a better move at certain junctures, and he told his friend about that, then that would be increasing his odds of getting more dates. So that's all I'm doing. That's my only job, is just to give guys a better strategy.
We've already established.
Guys all have a strategy. It's just a bad one.
Yeah, but John, we've already established, both of us, that coincides with our very charitable definition of what you guys think you're doing. Our counter argument to that is that's nice that you say that that's what you're doing, but what's happening in reality is you're training men to be simps for lots of vagina, and then when you do an internal poll, essentially proving that that's true. Now we have empirical evidence to go with our argument. Hang on. Well, I'll finish, and then you guys can critique it if you'd like to.
Huh?
But now we have an internal poll essentially proving that that's exactly true. That these men want to have multiple relationships with multiple different women. Clearly, they're taking their cues from you on that. Why wouldn't they be?
Not necessarily.
Well, where else would they be getting it from, do you think?
Society, Andrew Tate, people that are popular.
I mean, possibly they could be, but don't you think it's likely that they're getting it from the person that they're watching, whose audience they're in, who advocates those values? Doesn't that seem like it's the most likely thing?
I think I can
This
actually
point's really that I'm a bad example potentially.
I think I can
that's
simplify
different
it.
than pickup being bad.
I think I can simplify this by just asking John a simple question. John, do you, and what's your answer to this? Do you think it's bad if some of your clients use your content or my content to have multiple girlfriends, or are you agnostic
No.
about it? Okay,
Agnostic.
there we go. So we've simplified this. So again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier. We're comparing apples to oranges. John is saying that, I'm going to simplify this very simply. John is saying he doesn't really care if people use his content to get a wife, to get several girlfriends, to have a lot of casual sex. He's agnostic on this issue, which is not the same as you guys, because you're not agnostic on people having premarital sex. You're actively saying that it's a bad thing. Are you following my logic?
Sure. Keep going.
Okay. No, that's the point I'm trying to make. So I'm just
it literally
I'm
has.
pointing out to you that this analogy where you said, well, isn't it a little convenient for you? Like you're basically taking our logic and trying to flip it on John, but it doesn't apply because it's not the same thing.
No, it still does apply, and your point has no merit as to where this argument is going. So
Hold on. Okay, go ahead. Well, I just want to make clarification. I think we're talking two different things. I agree with his point that I'm potentially setting a bad example, but I thought we were discussing pickup and strategy as a thing on its own, apart from any creator.
Well, we are. So there's multiple points which I put in my opening, and I'll gladly bring those points up and we can address them one at a time. The first one is, John, I do have to ask this directly because it is pertinent to this debate. This is not an ad hom, but I do want to know the answer to it. Did you have sex with transsexual women?
Yeah, I've mentioned on my channel that I've been with 2 different transsexuals that didn't have, okay, first of all, they didn't have a dick, okay? They had estrogen put into their body. And I read in a lot of neuroscience books that a lot of people can't fucking get it. To me, it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck, okay? I'm not at all, like, for the record, people try to make fun of this. For the record, I'm not even slightly into dudes. A lot of times, the hottest chicks in the club.
Apparently you are.
Well,
I wouldn't.
Well, hang on, Zen. Let him finish.
Okay.
Let's say that one of you guys in your premarital sex days banged a chick that you thought was a 10, right? Mm-hmm. And then you found out 5 years later that was really a tranny. Does that make you gay? You didn't.
Hang on.
You're not.
Mute yourself, Pedro. I'm getting an echo off of you.
Got it. 1 second.
If you hooked up with someone that looks like a hot female, like a 9 or a 10 out of 10, and then 5 years later you found out that was a transsexual, that doesn't make you gay. It doesn't make you gay even if you knew.
Okay. Well, let's just say that we grant you that that's true. And by the way, we're still getting an echo somewhere. But let's just say we grant you that that's true. There it is. It's gone. Let's just say that we grant you that that's true. Don't you think there's a distinction to be made if you know that they are biologically a male? Don't you think that there's a huge distinction there, John?
No, because as I said in my neuroscience books, like the sexual part of a transsexual's brain is female in a lot of these cases, and they get estrogen pumped in.
Okay, hang on, fair enough.
And
but then back to
your, that's a female to me.
But then wait, John, back to your point. Then why did you present this as if you found out 10 years later and you didn't know at the time? Versus, versus you do know at the time and you do it anyway. Now I got to ask you, since you seem like
hold on, let me respond to that.
Yeah,
like I'm not saying, like, I'm basically saying, like, for you to look at it from that point of view. Like if you bang, let's say it's hypothetically possible that you could have hooked up with a transsexual and you didn't know it, or it could have happened to anyone, right? It could happen to someone, and then they find out later that it was really a guy. Okay, that
but there's no knowledge there.
Gay or into men.
Yeah, but there's no knowledge there.
But my point is that it has all the characteristics of a female.
But there's no. But well, wait. Even if it did, like let's say for a second. Let's say for a second. To me, a female
is someone that looks very pretty with fake tits, with big ass, with no dick, with estrogen.
John, there's a huge distinction here. Let's say that I took a ton of magic mushrooms, and suddenly I saw a man as being a beautiful woman.
Not all the same.
But let's just say I did, because I was
not all the same.
John, am I ever going to be allowed to ask a fucking question even though I answer all of yours? Are you ever going to let me do that?
Yeah, guys, I think it's fair. I've allowed you, Alex, and John to field a lot of questions, right? I think it is fair for Andrew to get some question in now.
He just can't take low blows. This is another fucking bullshit.
Okay, fine. I'll just work completely in your framework then. There's no intent, John. No, the distinction is intent. So I have to ask you, you had knowledge that these were biological males. Now, you love science. You've said that science is something that you're into, especially neuroscience. It doesn't matter if brain scans say that their gender is female. What is their biological sex, John?
Again, it's not, you're asking a leading question. That's how all of your arguments are based. Now I see why people will lose debates against you guys. Let me unpack that.
What's their biological sex, John?
Let me unpack that. A transvestite female looks far different from a male. Okay, a male that looks like a male.
Sure.
You're saying they're the same because they share the same chromosome. They're not the same. They're totally different.
Well, wait a second. I didn't say anything about them sharing the same chromosome, so therefore they were the same. That would be that would be an XXXY distinction. I'm asking. Wait. Biological sex.
Hey, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry to interrupt. I'm so sorry, but I just got it working, I think, on the Crucible. Can you guys still in the Crucible chat confirm that we have audio on our end? People are saying that audio is back. So everybody that went over to Alex's channel, we would like to gracefully direct you back to the Crucible.
Like his channel. But
all the viewers. Yes, now John is correct. Now Zen, stop.
I want to get back to the argument. Yeah. John. There is no fucking way that you could ever say that it's a leading question for me to ask you. Biologically, what these people were. What were they
It
biologically, John? How?
Because you're going to say they're the same by biological sex,
Well,
therefore they're the same in real life.
wait.
But they're totally different in real
But
life.
are they the same? Are they the same via biological sex?
Pedro, can we have Andrew just quickly clarify what the purpose of this line of questioning is? Because
the purpose.
He sets up every argument this way.
It seems like the only purpose, if I'm being honest, is just to make John look bad.
No.
I hear you. Okay, well then,
dude, I don't have any.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Wait, John. John, pause. John, just pause for a second. So, Alex may be correct. Andrew, can you give us the end to the line of this framework?
Well,
Take us to the end.
first of all, I'll walk you through everything. First of all, even if the whole purpose of it intently was just to make John look bad, who gives a shit? It's an argument. That's one. Two, hang on.
I have no problem discussing.
Even if it was, even if that was the whole point, Alex, it's an argument. It doesn't matter. Two, the distinction here is to say to John, if you're advocating pickup artistry for men going after women, right? But then you associate biological men as women, then I'm going to associate your pickup artistry as being slightly different than what you're saying it is. If you associate men who just dress like women who've had bottom surgery or men who've had bottom surgery and putting on a wig as then being women, now we have an entirely new category and distinction for this value structure you're advocating for. This is very problematic for me, and I don't understand it. And you further qualify this by saying, look, my definition of homosexual is same-sex activity. That's the definition you'll find scientifically as well, everywhere. So I have to ask you why this is a straw man or why it's bad to say, what is their sex? Yeah.
Well, really quick, I got to address Alex. Alex, did that explain or clarify? It's not just a methodology to make John look bad. It is a legitimate attack to the moral system.
Well, I personally think this is completely off topic for the.
Let me respond. Let me just respond. So, okay. So, I'm not at all into guys that look like guys, okay? And I'm not even that into fucking transsexuals. Most guys that I know that have banged multiple hundred girls have fucked a tranny one or two, okay? It's a lot of them have done it. None of them are actually into guys at all, okay? Nor are they gay. It doesn't matter if you say the definition is biologically. Here's the problem with your argument. You can't say that a man that looks like a man and a man that looks like a perfect 10 female are the same because they share the same chromosome or because they share the same biological sex. You can't say that.
What?
And I just told you why. Because
wait, John. Let's say that a person.
Let me continue because I wanted to respond to your points and I'll just let you go through. So let me explain what that means further, right? So for all intents and purposes, if a thing has the sexual brain of a female and it has estrogen in the body and it has fake tits and there's no dick, to me that looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. It's a duck. I don't like anyone could be tricked by that. You can imagine that happening. And then my point of saying, what if you didn't know and then later you found out? You would have enjoyed that experience. You might have even bragged about it to your friends because the girl looks super hot. And then 5 years later, you find out it was a tranny by some circumstance. And now all of a sudden that makes you gay? No,
what do you take gay to be?
Hold on.
What do you take gay to be?
You hooked up with that person thinking it was a hot female, okay? And you had the experience as if it were a hot female. And that's what I did those couple times.
What do you take gay to be?
That doesn't mean I'm into chicks. I'm into fucking dudes.
What do you take gay to be?
Guys that are fucking sucking dick and taking it in the ass and like men that look like men. You're saying like we could use this for anything. You could say
so real quick. If a woman, a biological female with a working vagina and let's say no fake dick, no bottom surgery, whatever, but she dresses like a man, cuts her hair like a man, acts like a man. Let's say she lifts weights, she's jacked, and a man has sex with her in the vagina, in the working, functioning vagina that she was born with. Is he gay? Because she looks like a man.
I have no idea how this relates to the initial debate.
Well, it's actually
back in.
They can't get back to the fact that
would that be gay to have sex with a manly looking woman with a functioning vagina?
Okay, let's
bring it back. I think Alex deserves a clarification once again. I know you kind of made it before, Andrew, but one more time.
Pedro, this is crucial. This is crucial. We're at the pinnacle point. We would just like the answers to these very basic questions. This isn't tough. This isn't hard. Please answer Zen's question.
Okay, so if a man is hooking up with something that looks like a hot female, that doesn't make him gay. If a woman is hooking up with something that looks like a hot male, that doesn't make her. Or how would it go the other way around? Well, you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm saying if a man like you or me, so just one of us on this panel who looks and is functionally male, and we interpret to be a man, has sex with a manly-looking female in the functioning, working vagina, is he gay?
That looked like a man?
Yeah.
Yeah, she like has a short haircut like mine.
With my definition, that would be more like a gay act, yes.
That would be gay?
It's the looks like a duck, quacks like a duck thing. It's not. It's
so
not
having sex in the vagina. Let's say he gets her pregnant too. He's gay, right?
You're just playing with definitions.
And he got his. And did he get his boyfriend? Did he get his boyfriend pregnant? Then
hold on. All definitions aside, I'm attracted to things that look like hot chicks. The end. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we get it. We get it. But the drive in here it's an important distinction. Especially when we're talking about your prism and your worldview and how you look at things.
What does John's sexual preferences have anything to do with premarital sex?
Well, because we're looking at an advocation for what it is that John's advocating for, and John's advocating that if something just looks hot, fuck it.
But you're trying to make a character argument, like you're trying.
How is this character?
Because
hang on, John.
You're trying to imply that means I'm gay.
Wait, no. This is all bullshit, Alex. He admitted that he had sex with multiple transsexuals.
Yeah, he's not denying it.
Well, wait. So how is it character assassination for us to ask about his value structure based around that?
Because I can respond in one sentence.
Let's just address the elephant.
Let me say the last final sentence.
Wait, but John, we got to let Alex get in. You've been talking a lot.
Let's just jump in the room. You're trying to.
I'll end the conversation here. I'm not at all into guys or things that look like guys, and I'm not banging lots of trannies either. Okay, for the record, it was two times where it looked like a hot chick. And you can't even tell the fucking difference. And I didn't give a shit. And I still don't give a shit. That doesn't mean I'm into guys.
I got to throw it to Alex now. Alex, get in there.
For argument's sake, and this is not true, but for argument's sake, let's assume I banged 20,000 trannies. That still has absolutely nothing to do with the argument.
You guys got to throttle down. Alex, you got to throttle down the T word there, bro. The
hard why.
Don't do that on don't do that shit. It's bad.
Yeah, you can actually get banned on YouTube for that. I think.
Just say something else. Anything else.
All right, my bad. Okay. So let's just assume I banged 20 million Transformers. That still has absolutely zero to do with the argument of whether premarital sex is good or bad. And I think this is like the pattern where like these debates devolve, we get off topic and devolve into like personal character attacks. It would be like, Andrew, it would be like if I was going down your sex history, Andrew,
you did and called me a hypocrite for it.
Right, things that were relevant to discussion.
Right. Well, this is relevant to the discussion, Alex.
You still haven't shown how it was relevant.
Yeah, I did multiple times. Would you like me to explain it one more time?
I know what your point is. Great. That changes my teachings if I.
Well, not just that, but it changes the moral purview in which our arguments, grounding, and foundations rest upon. It's important for us to understand the distinction in how you guys view the world if we're going off the definition of pickup that I gave in the beginning, which you both agreed to. Now, in that definition, I said the word woman, to date a woman, to go after women. You both agreed to those terms. Now we get to what a woman is, and suddenly there's a little bit of fucking confusion here, and I want that confusion to be alleviated.
No, those points are any confusion at all.
Okay.
Well, I'm confused. No, Alex, there is confusion.
Zen, wait. They gotta respond to that. They gotta respond to that, though.
I just want to clarify. Alex said there's no confusion. I promise you get to respond. We're saying there is confusion because the two of us have a definition of a woman that has a hard line that is distinct from what you guys.
You told them to let us answer.
I hear you, John. Zen, I need to. Andrew just laid out a full point. They have to address it, and then it gets to you, okay? This has to be the way
I already said what I need to say, so let him go.
Okay. Here, let me tell you really quick. Let's go. No. I need to tell you the problem with all of you is this right now. You all have been doing a little bit, not a lot, of diatribing, and then each party has to address a lot of things.
I don't agree with that. I've been very
shorten it up.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead,
let's
John.
go, Alex.
Okay, we can solve the training thing very quickly. Okay, I'm not into things that look like dudes. I banged 2 chicks, things that I consider chicks. I don't consider those dudes at all. They share all the characteristics of females, and it doesn't change my ideology or my ethical system or my teachings whatsoever.
But it does, because the idiom here is that if you're trying to teach men how to go after women, the definition.
You didn't listen to what I just said.
I did listen to what you just said. The definition of a woman here is going to be very important. Our definition of a woman is...
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. And our definition of woman here is very simple.
You're just playing games.
No, there's no game. There's literally no game. The only game is that you dodge every single point that's made. The definition of a woman from our standpoint is adult human female. The definition of a woman for you is whatever you want to fuck that you think is hot.
No.
Well, then what is a woman to you? Okay,
you admitted that you could have been tricked by a transsexual and found out years later. Correct or incorrect? You admitted that already.
We can engage that in the realm of logical possibility, I suppose.
Okay. So since you can bang something, but you went in there banging it because you're attracted to hot females, I presume, and not men with dicks, right?
I don't know. I have no idea what the presumption
I'm asking you.
I have no idea. I've never had sex with a transsexual.
No, I'm saying, are you attracted to women or to men? Things that look like men?
Yeah, to biological females.
I'm only attracted to things that look like hot chicks and share all the characteristics of hot chicks. The end. Okay,
yeah, but wait, that's subjective, and it's not a definition of a woman. Yeah, you're creating an infinite regress.
Why do we need to define
because otherwise you're creating a logical fallacy.
Can I clarify something?
You're creating a logical fallacy
after he finishes
of an infinite regress. You're just saying a woman is 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 a woman. John, I need you to tell me, hang on, just real specifically, John, what is a woman?
This is ad hoc and irrelevant.
There's no ad hoc.
Okay.
What is a woman, John?
Wait. Hand the question over if you want to Alex. Alex, you can answer that or engage with something else.
I will simplify
every single question is set up to fucking.
What is the setup? What's a woman? Where's the setup?
You set up your questioning. You set up your line of questioning to deliver your point. That's what
I gave Alex the floor, guys. Zen, you're next. You're next, Zen.
I'm like the battered middle child. No, I get no speaking time. Okay, even though it's my stream. Okay, this is the problem. This debate is rapidly devolving into going something completely off tangent. John is not teaching that you should fuck trans whatever.
How do you know? How do you know unless we know what he thinks a woman is?
Because I'm quite familiar with this content. He's just saying.
Wait.
See, like, dude, Pedro, can you please step in?
Andrew, let him finish. Yeah.
Okay. He's not saying that you should go out and fuck things that look like girls. He's saying go out and fuck girls. He's just saying for himself, he is cool with fucking something that looks like a hot girl.
Great. He's saying go out and fuck girls, right? I'm sorry.
Still not finished.
Okay.
You're saying that you're not okay with that. Okay, that's cool. You guys are both entitled to your personal preferences. It is totally off topic to this debate. We're talking about premarital sex, what John's preferences are. If I was into fucking big black fucking old ladies, it would still be relevant to the topic of this debate as long as I'm not advocating that you fuck old ladies.
Alex, before I respond, you're done? So I can engage with. Okay, so yes, it would if what you're doing is saying I'm teaching men to go after young hot women, and then all of your streams are about going after like old black ugly chick. I don't know.
But that's
it would
not
still
what
be.
you're doing.
Hang on, Alex. It would still, not only would it still be relevant, but here you say John is teaching men how to pick up girls. Great, I accept that premise. So is it appropriate for me to ask John what a girl is or what a woman is?
Okay.
John says no. I say yes.
Because
wait, John, before you go, Zen, if you're there, can you try and engage? Can you get in there? Because I've been trying to.
I'm sorry, I just got times. No. Continue, guys. Continue. I'll jump in.
I can answer.
John, I hand it to you. Go for it.
I'll answer Andrew's question. Okay, this is what he wants to happen. A definition of a woman means you have a male chromosome or a female chromosome. Therefore, I must have fucked 2 men, even though they look totally different from real men.
Yes.
Then that means that all my teachings are somehow obscured and invalidated. I think that's a terrible argument, and it's ad hoc, and it's irrelevant. I think we should move on.
Okay, great. So if that's true, hang on. If that's true, and you think it's just ad hoc and it's irrelevant and it's nonsense, can you just tell me what a woman is, John? That's all I'm asking.
You're doing the same thing again that you've been doing the whole debate.
asking you to define woman?
I told you that I think a woman is something that looks like a woman, and you can be tricked, and that's my definition.
Well, then we have a problem. Then we have a problem.
No,
so when you say I teach men how to go get women, how to approach women, what you really mean is I teach men how to go and approach anybody that they want to have sex with. Essentially, is what you're actually saying.
No.
Well then, how can you get around that if your definition of a woman is just whatever you want to have sex with?
Do you see? You don't see how dumb this point is? Hopefully, the audience can use half a brain here.
I hope they can too.
2 girls out of 1,521, okay, had a male chromosome technically, but still looked like hot chicks. Okay, what percentage is that?
It's very low, but wouldn't that mean that the sexual activity that was being engaged was homosexual? Same sex.
No, it wasn't.
We're giving this 5 more minutes, guys, and then we're going to have to move on to the next point.
Like, why is that relevant? Like, this is just...
I've already explained this 100 times. John says, I teach men to pick up women. I say, then what is a woman? John says, whatever you want to have sex with. That's the most relevant thing I could ever think of on planet Earth, Alex.
This has no relevance at all to the discussion, and you know it. You're just
it is very relevant. Like, what if somebody took what the 5 of us on this panel interpret a dog to be and called that a woman? And then said, I'm advocating for how to pick up women, but they're actually
exactly like a woman.
The problem
I just said looks exactly like a woman. In my example,
but you're not. But that's John. Listen. You said you're a philosophy major, so you understand the concept of begging the question, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so when you say I define a woman as something that looks like a woman, you're assuming the definition of woman without actually defining it. You're assuming your conclusion.
I'm saying these definitions don't matter. I'm saying these definitions don't matter. Because I'm not telling guys to go after men that look like men. If you banged a transvestite,
you're not defining either. You're not defining men or women.
Okay, let's say I never banged a transvestite. I know how to answer this now. Let's say I never banged a transvestite. We found out 10 years later that I did by accident. Does that mean the past 10 years of my teachings now are invalidated because I thought I was just teaching women, but whoops.
If you are not willing to denounce that, then it would be hypocritical. It would be invalid.
Denounce what?
Like I'll give you if it came to be that like I was married to what I thought was a woman, and I was engaging in sex with what I thought was a woman, but then it turns out it was a man after a few years or whatever by whatever means, doesn't matter, and then I said, oh shit, I'm having sex with a man. I'm not doing. I'd get divorced. I'd stop.
What did you think it was?
Then I'd start to denounce that. It wouldn't invalidate my beliefs now. But if I found out I was married to a man and I continued being married and having sex with that man, then you would just call me gay.
You're back to the definition of a man. To me, that's not a man.
Well, right. So then I guess we have established that it's very important for you to tell us what a woman is, John.
But he's already answered that question.
No, he hasn't, because if he did, we would be able to get. Well, wait, I asked him. I asked him specifically.
By default, I must be gay.
No, I'm not even saying that you're gay. I'm just asking you if a woman is.
You think I like men?
No. Well, wait, John. Calm down.
Do you think I like men?
We think you've had sex with men.
You've had sex with biological men for sure.
Biological men.
Yes.
I've already answered the point.
This line of questioning is like,
it looked like a hot chick. You can be fooled. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, you're right.
So isn't this evolving into like a criticism of John's sexual choices?
It is a criticism of John, and it's a criticism of what John thinks. We're in an argument, Alex. Did you think in the argument that we were going to swap candy with each other, or we were going to get?
You told me.
Hey guys, I'm going to solve it. I'm going to solve it right now. This point is over. You guys are not moving anywhere on it. I'm going to move the next thing to the next point. I'm going to let Zen Shapiro fill the next question in order to send us to our next point.
I want to stay on this fucking point. What do you mean?
Then you sacrifice it and it goes back to the other team. Alex, what is the next point you want to go to?
Okay, there we go. I want to get back.
Stonewalling. That's stonewalling for the other team, Pedro.
Zen. Okay, 1 second, Alex. Zen. The problem is this. Zen. You guys are saying the same thing over and over again.
No, not you, Andrew. You're not saying the same. I get it. You're making a point, but they're not engaging with that point.
So we're not going anywhere on this.
We engaged the whole time.
No, not really,
Okay.
because the logical conclusion didn't follow from what your answer to what a woman is. It's just more begging the question. It's just more begging the question. It makes no sense.
Again, it's devolving into.
But this is not a this is not a
This
de-evolution.
is
It gets right to the heart
completely
of what we're saying, Alex.
Like, I can clearly play this game and like
It's not
start
a
going-
game.
start
It's
going down
important.
like your personal life and be like, "Well, Andrew, are you
Did,
sure
Alex, you already brought up my
How do you know
personal-
that for a fact?
Alex, you already brought up my personal sexual preferences in order to call me a hypocrite at the beginning of the debate. You have
It was
no
like your guys' first line
ground.
of-
You have no ground to stand on for this.
It was directly relevant to the topic at
And
hand.
so
It was
is
not
this,
relevant.
Alex, and
Yeah.
I've shown it
But
time
I've
and
already
time again.
defended this 100 times.
Well,
The
no,
answer to
no.
your question, what
Well, no,
defines
no,
a
no,
woman
no.
by definition, is not relevant here because you're just going to twist it to say
It
that.
is
Well,
relevant when you're
then
talking
you're
about
assuming-
attracting women. You have to be able to define women.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Audience,
gentlemen,
John talks about
Gentlemen, you're not going to move. Alex, I'm forcing you to field another question to bring us into the next area of this
Okay.
debate. I'm forcing you to do that. I'm asserting.
Not a
Well,
problem.
no, this is your channel. My bad. That's rude.
No, you're good.
I would please like it if you field another question to send us to the next
Not a
one.
problem.
Go.
Well, I want to get back to the initial topic that we're supposed to discuss because we're an hour and a half in and we've barely covered it. So I want to go back to that. So I want to go back to actually Zen's opening statement because I think now we're going to get into the actual debate. So I have an issue with what Zen said in his opening statement. He said he proved basically that that having premarital sex was inconsistent with my value system, but that's not true because my value system was strawmanned. So I guess I'm wondering, will you acknowledge that in the previous debate you kind of strawmanned my value system, or do
No.
we explore that?
So the reason I say that is because you claim not to be a consequentialist or that you don't reason things from an outcomes based standard of morality. You say there's something other than, like, you would say even if it would save 10 million people, you wouldn't cheat on your girlfriend, whatever, because that's against your values. But there's no way for you to actually assert your values or invoke them in a debate because there's nothing grounding them. So I don't think I'm strawmanning you when I only appeal to consequences, because that's really the only thing you can invoke in a debate that wouldn't just fall back to, like, I have a mental state that says this is good. Like, what? Who cares?
No, but
So-
the problem with that is I'm not a pure consequentialist. Like, for example,
How do you ground the non-consequential aspect of your morality?
because it goes against my personal values.
Which is what?
Depends on which thing we're talking about. If we're saying, like, hypothetically speaking, if I could R-word a girl and there would be no consequences and it actually set her on a positive personal development journey that significantly improved her life, would I think it was justified? The answer would still be no.
Well, yeah. What
Because
again?
the problem is, I don't think that the consequence is the only thing that define whether something is right or wrong. I think the inherent action also
Why?
is part of that equation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
why?
you have to have it. Yeah, you have to have an answer for the grounding. Like, why would it be inherently wrong to do certain things?
Because they're not in line with my value system.
Right. Okay. So then we were correct, and it's the consequence of things that go against your own personal subjective value system.
No.
No, he just.
Well, not only that. To be clear, Alex, what I'm saying is, like,
Consequences.
even if you say it's not outcomes based, when you say it goes against my values, that's what I said. It's just a mental state that you have that says this thing is
Same
bad.
for you.
But-
we all
but
have
in
our own
a-
value systems.
But in a debate, you can't just invoke like, I have this mental state. Well, I don't have your mental state. You can't make an appeal to that.
Well, I
Yeah,
can
he
explain to you where I
It's just
stand.
not a valid argument, I should say.
I can tell you where I stand on every single issue, but my value system is personal to me and my lived
Yep.
experiences.
That's the problem.
Your value system
That's the
is
problem.
Your
You
value
have the
system
same
is based
thing.
around religion, right?
No, because when we invoke, if we are to invoke a Christian moral standard, we're not invoking that just in virtue of, like, our mental state. We're invoking that as a universal.
But that's already
that
a
would apply to
presupposition.
everything.
Christianity is true.
Yeah,
That would-
that's true. Everything has presuppositions, including
Yeah,
that
Oh, you can't
presupposition you
regress
just
back to
made.
nothing. Your thing has
But
no
your
more
you just
Santa
made a
Claus.
presupposition, John, about our presupposition. Everything's
No, there's a shitty
presuppositional.
argument again. Why do you not believe in Santa Claus? Zero proof. Why do I not believe in God? Zero proof, and a million other reasons. Okay, you can't say that yours is absolute because you read it in some book.
We're not saying that ours is absolute. We're doing an internal.
We both have value systems. Yours came from some book that you believe is a magic guy in the sky.
Yeah. No one's denying that, though, John. We're saying that in the internal critique, ours is consistent, yours is not.
I disagree with that. Let me ask this question.
Well, I've already tried by asking you what a woman is and proved that you're with the internal critique that Pedro, you're inconsistent when it comes to speaking game to women, bro.
I see your style. It's very obvious. You do the same thing every fucking argument, and I'm going to make a write-up after and make a video showing exactly how shitty your arguments are.
We call those cope streams.
Yeah, that's what they are, but go ahead.
Again, this is devolving.
I'll call it logic and reason.
One second, gentlemen. Alex, how I think your initial question put us here. Do you want to move to another question, or do you think this is now off topic again?
Well, I think it is getting off topic. We're going back to the same topic as last time, which is John's fucking sexual preferences or whatever, or his definition of a woman.
Yeah, so can we have a moderator, please, in here?
I want to keep it. No, I mean, let's give credit to Pedro. He's making the best that he can. But I want to get back to the actual initial argument, which is about having premarital sex. Like, let's get through that, and then we can move on to the next thing if we have time. Okay, sure. So I want to go back to so maybe then, so I'm not strawmanning you. Maybe you can restate for me your arguments why you think premarital sex is bad.
So the reason Andrew and I take premarital sex to be bad is because it doesn't conform to the Christian worldview, which we hold to dogmatically.
Okay.
But for the purpose of the debate, the two of us are willing to, again, like we did last time, enter into your worldview and determine that it's either good or bad by your metrics. And from what we can gather, the only real empirical metric you can use would be things like happiness, substance abuse, economic prosperity, all of which are better when people are within the confines of marriage. All of which are worse when people engage in casual promiscuous sex, when they engage in porn use, when they are homosexual. All these things are worse when they engage in your guys' lifestyle, and better when they engage in our lifestyle. So that's generally the argument.
Okay, well, it's not an internal critique if I don't believe in one of the premises. And the premise that I don't believe in is that you should just do purely what makes you happy.
But you do believe that. You said that multiple times in our last debate. You said you don't have a duty to society. You have a duty to do what makes you happy. You said that many times. We can check this out.
Okay, but let me get involved to bridge that then.
Let him respond. Just let him respond, Pedro.
Yeah. I always say this: as long as you're not directly harming other people and doesn't go against your values. That's
but if your values are entirely arbitrary, it's like, and if you take, I mean, it goes. This is why the what is a woman question is important. Because what if I take a different definition of what harm is, and I say that murdering or murdering or beating children to death is not considered harm in my worldview because I have a different definition. This is why definitions are important. That way we don't play a semantic battle.
No one's denying that. But both of our values are arbitrary. My values are based on my I guess lived experiences and the things I can see and observe. Your values are based on a book, right?
2,000-year-old book. Yeah.
I'm not trying to insult you. I'm just trying to.
It's just a tired like remark that we've heard 1,000 times.
I don't understand.
I'm not trying to personal attack you, dude.
Would it be better? Would it be better if our values came from a 300-year-old book or a 200-year-old book, like Nietzsche, for instance? Wait, for Nietzsche.
He's not saying what should
don't your values come from Nietzsche?
Mine don't.
No,
wait, John's do.
I create my own values, and you guys have it. He's just making the point
derived from Nietzsche. You said
right. They're granted from Nietzsche, and that's a 100-year-old book.
I didn't say that.
Well, okay, let's forget about Nietzsche. Why is it that when I base my values around things that I can see and observe, and your values are based on the Bible, why are mine arbitrary and yours are not?
Okay, so again, are you trying to invoke that our worldview is arbitrary? Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, both of us.
I am.
So arbitrary would imply, and correct me if I'm wrong, arbitrary would imply that it's just based on a personal whim. Like the entire standard, the entire basis for what you believe is based on personal whim, ultimately, right?
No, let me respond. They just play fancy games here, man. Look at a kid with Santa Claus.
I'm just trying to make sure we understand what the word arbitrary means. Is that what we mean when we say arbitrary?
Are the beliefs in Santa Claus arbitrary? No, they're taught
So
to you.
you're talking past.
You can't validate a belief system because it came from a book.
Alex, do you accept the definition I just gave of arbitrary?
Yeah, John,
you're talking past.
let me just answer their question. So
they just try to play games with every question.
it's fine. But let me just answer this question. So I just looked up the Oxford definition of arbitrary, so let's just go off that. Based on a random choice or personal whim rather than any reason. Right? So I would argue,
based on random chance, whim, who cares?
Okay, so wrong choice of word.
right. Yeah, maybe not
Is
the best.
that a
word.
fair definition?
However,
Yeah.
I would argue that the Bible is not based in reason.
Okay, then argue it.
Well, that's a whole separate claim.
Yeah,
let's first get common ground.
He said he would argue the Bible's not based in reason. Alex, then argue it.
It was written by a dude like 2,000 years ago.
Which dude? What was his name?
How's that relevant?
Well, you said because you made the
It was
claim,
written by many
Alex.
people, dude. There was many people that contributed to the Bible.
So then it wasn't a dude. Then how many dudes, Alex?
Dude, you're derailing the conversation again.
How am I? Wait, you made the affirmative claim, and I just put it to the question, and now you're saying I'm derailing it.
Okay.
So what do you want us to do?
Bible
Can we ever challenge a claim? What are we allowed to do?
Andrew,
it contradicts physics.
The Bible is based on science and reason.
I think it's based on reason, and
it
I think that there's
physics. It
contradicts physics, guys.
It does.
Okay.
Nobody's ever walked on water. No virgin's ever given birth. It's all nonsense.
Do you think?
So how do you know nobody's ever walked on water?
It defies the laws of physics.
So
you know that when they parted the Red Sea, they were just capitalizing on tectonic plates separating, and then they fucking.
Can you give me? Wait, John. Can you do me a favor? Just like humor me. Close your eyes for a second, real quick. I'm serious. Close your eyes for a second. I'll do it first.
No, go
close
ahead.
your eyes. No, I need you to do it so I know you're not Googling
I'm not gonna fucking close my eyes. Continue.
Okay, can you give me? Can you give me a single law of physics? Just one.
Have you seen anyone walk on water? Do you know?
Yeah.
That
Can you
happening?
give me a single law of physics that we are defying? Give me a single law, John.
I'm saying miracles don't.
Give me a law of physics, John.
What do you mean?
Well, you just said the Bible defies the laws of physics, and you don't have one.
Yeah,
one
guys.
law of physics.
Yeah, guys, calm down. So here's the argument, just flat on its face. You guys brought up the Bible. You said it defied the laws of physics. Andrew's now asking for a law of physics so we can test it to see what the Bible is defying. That's all they want.
That's
right now,
the
John.
Majority, John. Doesn't matter what everybody agrees with. Can you give me a single law of physics? One? Just say no,
That's
John.
not even relevant for the discussion.
Yeah, no, you can't.
It's 100% relevant when you invoke the laws of physics.
Stop again. Alex, let me interact with you. The reason why they're doing that is because you brought up those two things. You brought up the Bible and you brought up laws of physics. And then now they try to examine that, Alex. Do you see that's related? Wait, John, let me speak to Alex real quick so I know I'm not going off base here. I need to make sure I'm not being gaslit. Alex, do you see why they went down that line of questioning?
Yes, they're trying to establish why logic is faulty, and I can. But the problem where this is developing is we're getting stuck on one word that John said, law of physics. Okay, let's rephrase it.
That was the crux of his argument. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Miracles.
I'm
talking about miracles. Okay, those things don't happen.
Okay, let me explain like this.
Well, I mean, wait, John. When I asked you why such and such isn't true with the Bible, you said because it's against the laws of physics. When I asked you to name, hang on, John, wait, I'm almost done. When I ask you and you say I don't know a single law of physics, why should I now believe? Why should I now believe you that anything in the Bible is against the law of physics if you don't know any of the laws, John?
See, these guys play games. Pedro, I don't know if you're following what's happening.
Okay. Zen and Andrew, don't talk. Okay, John, I'm going to engage with you. What's happening? Tell me what's happening.
These guys do. It's very obvious, okay, why they think they're good at debaters. They use logical fallacies, and they twist things with apple and oranges, and they pick on little definitions and try to corner you And it's very fucking lame. It's like a little kid trying to.
Okay, Alex, before you speak, I need to engage with John real quick.
These guys are horrible.
John, neither Zen nor Andrew, I took notes on the side right here. Neither of them brought up the laws of physics or the Bible. Neither of them did that. It was your side of the debate team that did that. And then they started investigating that.
Everyone watching would agree they've never seen a miracle happen, and they would think that probably couldn't happen because it defies the laws.
Well, how do you know that they've never seen a law? Hey, wait, John, how do you know that nobody's ever seen
Andrew, stop. Andrew, stop. John, stop. Alex, what were you saying? Go.
Can I have the floor? Because every time I go down line of questioning, it devolves into Andrew and John arguing. So I'd like to stay on this for at least 5 minutes, and then we can go back to whatever they want to do. Okay. I'm just going to clarify this for John and clean it up a little bit. I think if one person uses one word out of context, it doesn't derail the whole argument. So what John is saying is there's a lot of things in the Bible that are unscientific, like a virgin giving birth, unscientific. Someone walking on water, unscientific. Whether he can or cannot name a law of physics is totally irrelevant. What he's trying to say is that it's unscientific, and I will stand by that as well. That's what the argument is based on.
Well, wait, hang on. Are you now making the claim that miracles are unscientific?
Yes.
Okay, great. Can you tell me the scientific method, John?
Okay. You guys believe that
can you tell me the scientific method, John?
No, don't fucking bulldoze me.
Right, so you can't tell me the scientific method either.
Well, stop once again. Stop. John.
Okay.
Alex cleaned up the language. Yes. Honestly, he did. And now you guys are saying it's science. It's unscientific. I think it's fair. I think it's entirely fair for the other team now to ask for, okay, what is the scientific method so that we can stay in line with that? Let me
just address that. I will answer it. Okay.
Thank you.
For all of recorded human history, we have a track record of a man impregnating a woman, and 9 months later,
the scientific method?
Who gives a fuck what the scientific method is?
Then don't make arguments based on science.
Don't interrupt for 5 seconds.
Zen, stop. Andrew, stop. Let Alex finish. Alex, finish that statement.
Okay, whether John knows every single definition or knows zero definitions, again, is irrelevant to the actual argument. 100%. So try to focus on the actual argument instead of trying to catch him on little definitions that he doesn't know.
Dude,
hang on. For all of human recorded history, we have observed that the way babies come into this world is a man ejaculates into a woman, and approximately 9 months later, she gives birth. That is in line with every single thing that we have observed through our senses. The idea of a woman giving birth without that ejaculation has never been done in human history, thus it is unscientific. The scientific
How do you know, method, Alex? You weren't alive back then.
The scientific method is
totally irrelevant to the point.
Oh my God.
Okay,
Alex,
I see your frustration because I also in debates
definitions game.
Exactly. I hate playing the definitions game, right? But here's the other thing that's happening. When in your worldview...
I'll give Zen his answer, the science part. Let me just speak for uninterrupted for just a sec.
Okay, go for it, John.
You guys believe that wine can be turned into blood, right? Or, sorry, what is it?
Water into wine,
blood. Yeah. That's the consecration. Okay.
No, that's transubstantiation.
Wait, it's a what? It's a what?
The consecration, when they change the wine into blood. Jesus' actual blood.
Wait, what's it called again?
Consecration.
Okay. Okay, go ahead.
Do you believe that the wine is actually turning into Jesus' blood?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so you can test scientifically for the presence of hemoglobin before and after in the wine. In everything we know about blood, there's no traces of anything related to blood whatsoever. It's still just wine.
Well, how would you know that? You don't even know what the method for science is. How would you know that we could test for anything?
We can. John? Okay, but now you just want to throw science out the window. I'm saying about all.
Well, I'm not throwing it out the window, John.
Hey, gentlemen, pause really quick. Just pause. Yeah. Alex, let me show you something really quick. You need to examine this, and I swear to God, I'm not lying to you, and I'm not trying to be biased at all. It's the truth.
Okay.
John, just tried to say that water into blood is called consecration, when in fact, in our worldview, the Christian worldview, it's called transubstantiation. That's the actual word for it. He just describes something where making the land where a church is built to be the land of God and where his people gather. That's consecration. So this is why. So really quick, this is why definitions matter, because honestly, as a debater, what John just said, if I were to look at the dictionary, that does not contort with actual reality.
They understood the point.
So this is why definitions matter. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying that definitions don't matter, but I'm saying that John's recollection of definitions is not that important to this actual argument.
Not relevant to the argument whatsoever. Because
Okay,
I'm
but
saying
fine.
you can test to see
John,
if it's blood.
Hang on. Let him go.
I'm going to make it simplified. I'd like to be able to speak. Okay, fine. Let's just assume that John was wrong about that one statement. Totally relevant. Okay, let's take something much more simpler. Okay, the Bible argues that the Earth is, I believe, 8,000 years old or 10,000 years old.
Right? Let's just say for accuracy point, let's just say I believe it's 6,400 years exactly, just for the sake of this argument. Go ahead.
Okay, we have fossil records, again, that scientists overwhelmingly agree on. The Earth is actually something like, I don't know, like fucking over 1 billion years old, basically. It's really fucking old. Way older than this. Now, whether I know exactly how old it is irrelevant to the argument. What I'm saying is that a lot of the stuff that the Bible argues for are not grounded in science. And are you saying you disagree with that simple statement?
Well, it's hard to disagree if you can't tell us what science is.
It's our best understanding of empirical things at the current time, and it changes when anomalies accumulate. They adapt, and there's a paradigm shift. But it's our best empirical account of what's going on in the world.
Okay.
Right,
so hang on. So hang on. If that's true, if science is just something that shifts based on empiricism, is that what you're saying you think science is?
That doesn't mean that we don't have a reliable definition of how things are, and we can't induce principles of how things normally
Okay, great.
occur.
I just want you to give me that definition so I can operate off of it inside your worldview.
Okay.
So what is it?
It is our best. Basically, the thing, it's inducing the principles that fit the data that we have the most at the time. Okay, but we can define what's in blood, in all blood that we've measured, and we can measure wine before and after the fucking magic trick, and after it's the same. It's not turning into blood. We can define that. Okay, and we've never to date seen anyone give birth as a virgin, or part water, or
well, it doesn't follow that that's never happened.
Okay, let's just quickly.
It follows that it's incredibly unlikely that it's happened.
So it's all, we're on the same page, and
as unlikely as
we can all agree on this definition. The intellectual and practical activity encompassing a systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical natural world through observation and experiment. I agree to this definition. Do you guys agree? Does everyone agree?
Sure.
Okay. Yep. Cool. Then
that should be good to agree with. Move forward.
Well, I mean,
and we can discuss it.
The thing is, like, what you guys are objecting to, the same critique can be made. Like when you say we've never observed, a virgin birth, therefore it's extremely unlikely, and I'm going to hold to that it hasn't happened. But you guys both invoked evolution at either in this debate or prior, but we've never observed organic life being created from inorganic compounds. Therefore, it's extremely unlikely. So why don't you hold to that that's never happened?
Again, apples to. I mean, are you arguing?
How is this apples to oranges?
That was called a fucking kill shot that neither of you can answer.
No, it's not.
It's contradiction. I can answer it.
You're go ahead.
Hold on. It's contradicting all existing empirical evidence. If I said Santa comes down a chimney,
then give me that evidence.
No one's ever seen that happen.
Where's
it contradicts all empirical evidence.
Okay, well, wait. You say it contradicts all empirical evidence. I just want to make sure I got this clear. You think it contradicts all empirical evidence that we have never seen life come from inorganic life? Really?
We can explain that through processes.
What? Okay, so tell me the process.
Read The Blind Watchmaker by Richard Dawkins. He painfully goes through how slight mutations.
I've read tons of Dawkins. What would you like to discuss? What would you like to discuss on Dawkins with the single cell organism?
I would like actually.
How does this bring it back to premarital sex?
I mean, how can we ever?
Hang on, Andrew. Hang on. I'd like to ask this question. I've asked it several times. I haven't gotten an answer to it. I would like a clear answer to this question, and then the conversation could stem from there. Most of the religious people that I know I've talked to, they say that religion is based on a leap of faith.
That's an appeal to majority.
Okay,
What's your claim?
I'm hang on. I'm asking you. Are you saying that it's actually religion is based in science and logic?
Well, it's definitely based in logic and reason. Yes.
And that science is just supplementary to it. It's just a faculty that we use to describe.
Yeah, science is a logical process.
Yeah.
So do you think that religion does not contradict science at all?
It depends on the religion.
Your religion specifically.
The Christian.
Well, no. The Christians basically invented science, so no, I don't think so. We use it as a metric-based tool, just like you guys do, except we actually know what the process for it is.
Okay, so for example, the turning water into wine, you don't think that contradicts science?
That's a metaphysical conceptualization.
You said literally. It literally changes. That's what Christians believe.
It does literally change. Let me ask you a question,
John. Wait. No, stop right there. You have to explain that.
Okay, I'm trying to.
By all measures, it's wine before and after. How did it literally change to blood?
Let me ask you a question.
Answer that.
I'm trying to. Well, I'm trying to. Okay.
By asking a question?
Well, because the question entails the answer. I'm not begging the question. I'm just trying to explain to you how this operates. You say that we can test the wine before it's ingested by a human being. How many times do you think the wine has been ingested and then they've tested it? I'm just curious.
It doesn't need to be ingested.
Well, wait. That's part of the process. How do you know that it doesn't turn to blood after it's ingested?
You could still measure it.
And can you show me any of the empiricism doing that?
We could imagine a study where that could easily be proven.
Well, we could imagine it, but this is your claim that it never can. So I'm asking you if you can show me the empiricism that it does not.
Is on the person making the claim. You're making claims that have
both of us are making claims.
And then you're saying I'm the weirdo.
Listen, John. Again. Hang on. No, I need to respond to what John just said, please. Again, philosophy major John. You should know that we're both making positive claims about the proposition that the water has been turned into wine or that the wine has been turned into blood, etc. We are affirming the positive, yes, and you are affirming its negation. So we're both making positive affirmations. You're just you're affirming in the negation. So the burden is on both of us. There's no neutral ground here.
No, it's not.
Pedro, can I hold on something?
Yeah, John, let your partner get in. Alex, go for it.
Time and time again. So when I start asking questions, for some reason, it always goes into either Andrew or Zen asking John questions. And I just can never get through a set of questions. Dude,
it's because your lines of questioning suck.
well, I want to be as good faith. Look, I want to be as good faith. Answer all your questions as I can. Alex, ask them.
Can you just at least address those questions to me temporarily, and then you can go to John? Okay,
certainly.
There we go. Because it just keeps derailing.
Yeah, and for the sake of it, John, not that we're pulling you out, just suspend yourself for a second and let Alex handle as much as possible.
I just want to get through a line of questioning. Okay, I want to explore where you stand on this because you have a very interesting viewpoint that I think is uncommon for religious people. So let's explore. Okay, so you think that, for example, turning water into wine is in line with science?
Well, I don't. It depends on how you gauge the metric.
Can you expand on that, please?
Yeah. So it depends. Are we using empiricism? How are we gauging this exactly?
Yeah, we're using empiricism.
Okay. So then, if we're using empiricism, I'm not familiar with the data. Can you show me where the wine stays wine post ingestion?
Well, let's forget about ingestion. Let's just talk about some water that's in a glass that's being turned into wine.
Well, it would be wine that would be in the glass.
It can be water, whatever. A cup. Water is in a cup.
No, wine's in the cup.
Think about how dumb this conversation is for you watching.
Fine, wine is in the cup. We turn it into water. Other way, it doesn't matter.
No, we don't turn it into water.
They turn it into Jesus'
actual... Yeah. Hang on. You guys are misunderstanding. So Alex is asking about Jesus turning water into wine, and I think Andrew's interpreting it to be when you drink the communion wine and it becomes.
No, I'm talking about, dude.
I'm sorry. Maybe we were talking past each other. We're talking about the miracle of Christ.
Yeah, if I'm talking about any of the statements in the Bible, I do want you to correct me. So, as far as I understand, in the Bible it says that Jesus turns water into wine. Is that correct? Right? That's correct.
Yes, that's correct.
I'm not sure, man. So, can you explain to me how scientifically that would happen?
Oh, most certainly. All wine is converted using water, just so you know, scientifically. Every drop of wine you've ever drunk was converted from water.
They just play
Alex.
games. The
But
claim
that's
is
with
wine is turning
fermentation.
blood.
But that's with fermentation, Andrew.
Well,
How
that's
would-
true. There's additional qualifiers. If you're asking me from a miraculous standpoint how that's done, I
Yeah,
have
how
no
one
idea.
person would do it without fermentation.
Well, I have no idea.
Okay. Do you think that this could be replicated?
Well, as far as the miracle goes,
Yeah.
I think that it's possible. Yes.
So do you think you, for example, will be able to replicate this?
No.
Okay. Who do you think would be able to replicate
I
it?
have no idea.
No one.
Do you think a group of like really smart scientists would be able to replicate it?
I mean, I don't replicate it. You mean the miracle itself?
Yeah, just taking water and turning into wine.
I doubt it.
Okay. So why is it?
Do you think, Alex? Do you think real quick? Do you think a bunch of really smart scientists could form organic compound out of inorganic compound?
We already addressed that.
Potentially in the future?
But not now.
There's no reason to believe that they could, because we've failed every single time we've ever tried it. But that doesn't mean that it is not in accordance with science for life to exist, right?
Just because we don't have a technological breakthrough where we can do something. 50 years ago, the idea of us doing this live stream would have been inconceivable. But that doesn't mean that was
No, it wouldn't have been inconceivable 50 years ago.
100 years ago, Andrew.
Hold on. We got to call a timeout on this. This is off the rails again.
I want to get back to my line.
Well, John, what's the timeout for? Go for it.
I mean, this can be summed up in one point. Like, I can come up with an infinite number of things that have never happened and put it on them and say, hey, show me that it's never happened. I think it could happen. It's just a dumb argument. It makes no
have we
sense
ever
at all.
scientifically seen something come from nothing? Because that's what you guys believe.
There are theories that where there didn't need to be a first cause or anything coming from anything. There could have been matter always existing.
Yeah, I mean,
every one of those theories fails.
So I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to stonewall this point then, because
Yeah,
you're
you've been
both saying
stonewalling the whole time, Pedro.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, Zen. Alex,
Okay.
go for it.
Yeah, okay. Let's take something else then.
Okay.
True or not, Jesus was able to part water, right? That's true?
He was
I
able
think
to
it was
what?
Moses.
Yeah.
That was Moses.
Moses was able to part water.
Yeah.
That was tectonic plates. They found out the real reason why that happened. It was tectonic plates in the earth. It was a scientific explanation.
John, let me finish, please. Okay, you guys believe that in the Christian Bible. Like, this is part of your belief?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Do you think that is scientific?
Could be.
Like, do you think that's something that, like, a group of scientists could replicate, potentially?
Possibly.
But why do you think it's never been done?
It has been done. I mean, we've parted water tons of times. So I'm going to try to be as charitable as I can be. Okay, with the leading question, right? So you're asking me, why do you think that a group of scientists could perform a miracle? I don't fucking know. Maybe, like, I don't know. Like, maybe they can perform a miracle if they have enough faith and they're imbued. I have no idea. You're talking about the realm of metaphysical at this point. I have no idea how to even address that.
But like, the problem I have with your logic.
Alex, I have to be fair. I have to stonewall this point. We can't get back at the miracle. Zen, what's a question you have to the other team?
Can I just make one?
Do you object in principle to things being irreplicable by science?
Do I object in principle to things being irreplicable? Can you explain that?
No.
So if something cannot be replicated by science, do you object to it in principle?
No.
Okay, then your objection is invalid by your own lights here.
Well,
Correct.
Okay.
let me repause it. Let me repause
I promise
Pedro, let it go.
I will be concise. To clarify the point here, you're objecting to Moses parting the Red Sea, Jesus turning water into wine, drinking the wine and it becoming blood. You're objecting to all of those things because we can't replicate them through science. That's your only objection, but you say you don't object to that in principle.
No,
what are you
They're
actually
unscientific. That's what I'm objecting them to. They're unscientific.
How
They
do you
go
know?
It
against.
means they can't be replicated by science. That's what you're saying, but you don't object to that in principle.
They go against.
Special pleading. This is called special pleading.
They go against like every single thing that we can observe through our senses.
No.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
we've been alive
wait.
for a very long period of time, and we've never
wait a second.
we've never observed someone parting water, which is totally different than fucking.
Well, who's
creating
we?
The
What do you mean
conditions
we?
for evolution.
Wait. Clearly, many people saw that. So who's we? You?
Who are the
Look at
people
these
that
guys
saw
on
that? People who were alive 2,000 years ago. You don't know any of these people. You don't know anything about their.
Well, I mean, but the thing is that when you say this collective we, I don't know who you're addressing. Who's we?
Every single person that's alive.
Word-term games.
Well, these aren't word games. This is important.
Every
Dude,
single
you're
person.
acting
So
like
how
you're
come?
crazy.
You tell me.
You're
Hang on,
crazy.
John. Tell me
Doubting
how.
miracles.
I need you to tell me, John. How am I allowed to challenge your claims? What's the appropriate way to challenge any of your claims? Am I even allowed to, or do I just need to sit here?
You can question anything as long as you don't fucking fight dirty, which you've been doing the whole time.
How am I fighting dirty? Tell me how to challenge your claim. Tell me the correct way.
Okay, let me explain for the audience, but I can't be interrupted this time because it always gets blocked off. Okay. You guys are the ones claiming that all these things have happened that nobody's seen. And Zen's counter argument is that, well, don't you agree there's things that science hasn't figured out yet? Yes, of course. But that doesn't mean that we can come up with infinite possibilities of things that contradict all the best information we have empirically now to say that those things, have any kind of probability of happening in the past. I can create an infinite number of claims. I can say I climbed a golden mountain yesterday and an angel in the dream yesterday told me to do such and such. You can't verify those things. Those are metaphysical claims.
And you can claim that something came from nothing, and you can't verify that.
I already explained that one.
Yeah, but this is the whole problem, right? Is it's becoming circular.
No, it's not a problem.
It's not.
We're grounded in reality. You're grounded in fairy tale.
Wait, what is grounded in? Wait. How do you know what reality is to ground yourself in it, John?
That's a good question. All we can go off of is what we can induce based on what we see.
Well, that's not all we can go off of.
Beyond that, we can come up with an infinite number of things that we can believe in that have no basis whatsoever.
Where did you come up with the idea that that's all we can go off of?
Okay, again, this is.
Can you guys pull that back? Can you guys pull this all into and to pick up artistry and premarital sex being good or bad?
Yeah.
How do we pull that back in? John, can you answer that?
Can I answer Zen's and Andrew's question? I can pull it back and explain it very simply.
After.
Go for it, Alex.
Okay, fine. Let's take something like a virgin giving birth. We have a whole bunch of empirical evidence where we've seen women give birth, right? Where we have a whole track record of women giving birth. And every single time, the way it's worked is that a man ejaculates inside a woman.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. So, Alex,
Andrew, don't cut him off just yet. I need to see where he pulls this all back to premarital sex good and pickup artistry good. Keep going, Alex.
Well, I was just going to bring it back to the religion because I was going to answer their point. Because they're basically using, well, you guys can't prove evolution, so therefore that we shouldn't have to prove our thing. So that's what I'm trying to say. That's why I'm trying to use something different. I'm trying to use
well, Alex,
giving birth.
Alex,
hang on. I'd like to finish my point. Okay. Thank you. So we have a whole bunch of data that shows that the way a woman gives birth is when a guy ejaculates inside of her. Generally speaking, I know there's been like some fucking eggs that have been fermented, blah blah.
Why are they still virgins then?
Hang on. Generally speaking, that's how it works. You're making a claim of the opposite. You're saying that, well, actually, the way a woman can also give birth is through a miracle without the man ejaculating inside the woman. And I don't know how you can say that's scientific because it goes against every single thing that we've observed throughout human history.
But it doesn't. I don't even know what you're talking about. Let me ask you a question.
No idea what you're talking about.
Well, wait. I need to understand this. If a woman is a virgin and is artificially inseminated, can she get pregnant?
Exceptions don't make the rule.
I'm going to ask you one more time.
Alex, playing the game again.
Well, I don't know why you guys can't just. Do you know how to say the word yes? Is the word fucking yes impossible for you to say? Just say yes.
But there was no artificial insemination back then.
Wait. Again, that's another claim. Right? There's no artificial insemination back then. How do you know there was no artificial insemination back then? How do you know how do you know they didn't have a ceramic basement? Like all these things.
Guys, really quick. How does now this all relate back to premarital sex, good or bad? Pickup artistry, good or bad?
I need to say this. The point that we're getting at, the point that I would like to hammer here, is that the critiques that you guys are applying to us apply to you guys as well, and what you believe in dogmatically.
We're talking about probabilities.
The critiques that we actually apply to you guys do not apply to our worldview.
We're in agreement.
We are consistent in ours. You guys are not consistent in yours. Everything you guys are critiquing our worldview for the same critiques apply to you. Oh, you can't see virgin birth. You can't see abiogenesis.
I'm trying to.
Oh, you can't see water to wine. You can't see something from nothing.
Hold on. We're talking about probabilities, though.
Okay, let's talk about probabilities.
Do you understand how low the probability is for 100 amino chains to develop in one sequence and turn into what we deem to be an organic compound? It's like 1 in a trillion zeros, dude. We're talking about probabilities. You're talking about rolling the dice 50 billion times in a row. That's how unlikely your worldview is.
Let me address that. Okay, I'm using a different example to counter your point. We're talking about the Virgin Mary giving birth. Right.
We need Pedro in here.
So Andrew is kind of going the artificial insemination route, which is interesting.
I know I wasn't. I was just simply telling you that you were incorrect in what you were saying. That virginity can be intact with pregnancy by your own metric. That's all.
Okay. Again, you're trying to like catch me on like a little technicality. You understand?
They're not technical. These are important critiques, man.
Dude, you're not being good faith right now. Be good faith. You understand the point I'm getting.
Okay.
Maybe you don't, but I'm assuming you're smart enough to understand the point I'm getting at. And the point I'm getting at is the idea of a virgin giving birth goes against every single empirical thing that we've observed throughout human history.
This is so Alex, to respond to that, this is my whole problem.
Not an opinion, though.
This is my whole problem with this, right? Is that when you say things like virgins can't give birth, right?
Probability.
When you say things like this, right, it's appropriate for me to challenge these things within the metric of your worldview. Would you agree that that's true?
But exceptions don't make the rule, Andrew.
Okay, why do you guys just refuse to? How was that a loaded question too?
No, it wasn't a loaded question.
Okay, so then can you just say yes? It's okay for you to challenge it.
But it's pointless to this discussion. Yeah, I guess you can technically challenge it. But again, if you can prove to me an exception, I agree with you that, yes.
But if we challenge these things then, and then we come up
artificial insemination.
Wait, if we challenge these things and then we come up with the proper definition that both of us agree to, then we can get to the next part.
Andrew.
I disagree. When you make a claim from an empirical standpoint, isn't it true X? My answer is no, it's not true X. But if you say, okay, let me refine that thought. What about if we define this a different way and narrow it a bit? Then I can speak to that. This is the way that debating is done.
Yeah, John needs to get in. John, go for it.
Okay, and Andrew read Dawkins. Richard Dawkins has a whole chapter devoted to precisely what we're going back and forth
about. In which book?
The Blind Watchmaker. He says,
I don't know if I read The Blind Watchmaker.
He said that it refutes creationism, or so he says. Basically, he's like in that book, he says a rock statue can move. It has a probability of moving, right? It's just very, very, very low.
Yep, that's
so true. Like what you guys are contesting is the possibility, just in theory, that someone could have given a virgin birth. Okay, but you're not looking at the fact that it defies all empirical science and therefore has incredibly low probability, actually zero, close to zero.
Okay, so let me answer to your critique.
We're not talking about. Can you imagine
one moment, gentlemen? Okay. Gentlemen, one moment. Let me ask this to make an observation. Both of you agreed to a definition called science that Alex brought up earlier, and both of your worldviews are saying yes, there are things that science cannot replicate, but we both, in fact, say happened. For John and Alex, it's matter coming into reality out of nothing. For Zen and Andrew, it's the water to wine.
Well, no, event. It's the same thing. It's matter coming into reality. But that aside, let me answer to this critique because I think it's a fair critique. I've often said that there is a probability that somebody could jump off of a building, turn into a balloon, and float off. You would agree that that's true, right?
Yeah.
Just the probability is like extremely low. We would both agree that that's true.
Yeah, but you're banking on these extreme unlikely scenarios.
Well, a statue moving is not an extreme unlikely scenario that you brought up.
It is.
Okay, well then why is my critique suddenly out of bounds when that was your example?
Because that was my point, saying that anything can happen. You guys are saying
and I'm answering to your point.
Okay, but that means everything in an infinite matter could have happened.
Well, how would you know? I never finished my point. I was just agreeing with you in principle that it is true that you can have these kind of infinitesimal possibilities, but still say that they're possibilities, but they become so absurd as to be rejected. Can we agree that that's true?
Based on our framework of metaphysics and the nature of truth and reality, yes.
Okay, so if we can agree to that, and I think both sides can, suddenly we're coming to a place where we can have an actual debate. Why is that so fucking problematic? I don't get that.
It's not. Okay, continue.
Okay, great. So let's talk about probability then. Your critique of us is creationism and the world's age and this type of thing, and we're prepared to have that debate if that's the debate that you guys want to have. Absolutely happy to do so. If we're just going to go off of mathematical probability, we're happy to do it if that's how we're going to define that.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want to do that then?
I mean, I think we should, again, like this is turning into a completely different debate. I think we should keep it on topic.
Okay, yeah.
This whole thing started because I was making the point that I think religion is unscientific. Okay, you guys think it is scientific. That's interesting. Not many people claim that. But okay, we can move on from that. That's fine. We can return back to the initial point.
Wait, that wasn't our claim.
No, Andrew, don't interrupt. Just see his next question. Let's not go back into it. Next question.
We just have to correct our error quickly. We're saying that science is in accordance with religion and with our religion, and that it doesn't contradict it. That's what we're saying.
Okay,
but anyway,
let's not dive back into that. That is a fair defense. Let's not dive back into it, Alex.
Couldn't disagree with that more, but okay. Well, we can move on. Let's get back to so the initial discussion, because we keep going off track, was about what's it called?
Premarital sex good, premarital sex bad.
Premarital sex good, premarital sex bad. Okay. So what are your arguments for why it's bad aside from religion?
Oh crap, dude! I was literally about to thump a Bible in your face, and you threw me off. Shit,
okay.
Man.
So
I don't know what to say now.
So I'll dive in.
Sorry about that.
Our arguments against it, one more time, are that based on the empirical metrics that you guys would measure, the outcomes of promiscuous sex are far worse than the outcomes of men who get married. On average, on aggregate, right? Just on average, this is the case. Would either of you, would either of you disagree with that claim?
Well,
does it take into account divorce rates?
I need to explore it. I need to explore it. What is that based on?
This would be based on empirical data, which I assume you guys would accept.
Well, what's the data? You have to tell me what it is.
Well, I would have to provide that for you. Do you want me to take a moment and pull up?
Yeah, or you can just sum it up, and I'll take your word for it.
Okay, so the summarization is that almost every single threshold that you would probably consider to be a positive, which means two-parent households would produce children, for instance, that have less drug abuse. They have better outcomes. They even have higher IQs due to nourishment. Almost every single definitive metric that you can come up with is superior in a two-person household with a mom and a dad. Promiscuous sex. Promiscuous sex is going to significantly increase the likelihood of single motherhood. There's no doubt that that's true. That's 100. I mean, just on the average of X amount of women you sleep with, the chances significantly increase that you're going to get one pregnant. There's just no doubt that this is true, unless you guys want to say that that's not true.
Oh,
for me, it's not to have a vasectomy.
It's true for most people, but if you get a vasectomy, it's not true.
Well, okay, but it's true for most people.
Yeah,
and so when I make these arguments based on averages, do you think I mean most people?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, yes. So
the answer is yes. He does.
The answer is yes. So we are talking about most people. Thank you, Alex. So do you have an argument against what I'm saying? Because John affirmed that all these outcomes are better. The chances do increase if you have promiscuous sex, and we're talking about the outcomes for society.
Okay. Yeah, I do. So I want to clarify a little bit. I'll promise you I'm not dodging. So this is based on the study that I think you brought up on the first debate that suggests that married people are happier. What about if your goal is not to have kids? Like, what if you're not trying to have kids?
Would you say, well, I would say if your goal is not to have children, you might have something there, but the problem that you have is on average, most people do want to have children. So once again, I think that the argument kind of falls flat.
Right, but couldn't I just argue that my channel is designed for people who are not trying to have children?
Well, how do you know?
You never really know anything. Like this extreme skepticism is not going to work.
Well, I'm not. That's not even extreme skepticism. If you just make the affirmative claim, this is what I'm doing, this is what most people in the channel believe.
No,
I'm just asking how you know that that's true.
Well, I wasn't actually making that statement. I was just asking a hypothetical. What if? I'm not saying. I'm not actually making that claim.
Okay, so hypothetically, what if most people on your channel didn't believe that, and they only wanted to not ever have children, and that's why they're following your advice? Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay, well then I guess in that case, I would say, I don't know, I may not say anything to it, but I just reject the claim as being absurd. That's
okay, so then you would have no moral issue with it.
No, I would still have a moral issue with it. I just wouldn't, at least within your framework, I would consider it consistent. That's all.
Okay.
Can I make sure I'm understanding correctly? Just repeating it back to you, what I think you said. Not responding yet, just to make sure I'm following the point you're making. So you're saying that by people having multiple sex partners, that's going to increase the likelihood of single motherhood?
Well, not just single motherhood. It'll increase the likelihood of STDs. It'll increase the likelihood of all sorts of negative outcomes.
And divorce. I think. I mean, you guys would agree undeniably, because you'll probably get around STDs with, like, I don't know, condoms and, like, be careful and stuff, and like they're treatable. But you guys would agree undeniably that divorce is a bad outcome, right? It's bad.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. For whatever your reason is, every study ever conducted affirms that the lowest divorce rate is among those who have had 0 sexual partners before divorce. So those who remain virgins up to marriage, those who remain virgins up until marriage, are the least likely to divorce out of any other group.
They're not going to find another partner.
What's that?
So that's because they're scared they're not going to find another partner.
Well, regardless of the reason,
it doesn't matter though. You agree that the metric, like whatever your cope response is, you agree that the metric of divorce is bad, and remaining a virgin up until marriage is the least likely to end in divorce. So by your metric, that would be good.
Okay, let me use your guys' system back as a response. Most people that are waiting until marriage are religious. And most people that get married that are religious don't want to get divorced because they'll be going to hell. And that's the most severe punishment.
You're the man, John. I love you, John. You're the greatest ever. And that's our whole point. Our whole point is that if you agree with us that the metrics via Christianity are going to produce better outcomes for people by every single observable and empirical metric that you can possibly come up with.
I reject that premise.
Well, then tell me the empirical metric that you reject. Which outcome do you think is not superior?
Okay, sure. I don't believe this is what it comes down to. I don't believe that it is your job as an individual to do what is best for the whole. Which is why
that's not what I asked you. I asked you what empirical metric do you think is worse?
Wait, let him finish, and then refute it. Yeah,
I'm
go for it.
My response, which is why I personally never joined the military or anything like that, or I don't really volunteer much. Anyway, by what metric? I think it comes down to what makes you happy as a person. Now, I trust. Hang on.
But why is that a good metric?
Hang on.
You said earlier it's not about personal happiness, by the way. I just want to remind you.
Can I just get through a statement?
Yeah. Let him finish, guys. Let him finish.
Yeah. Okay. I think as a person, you should do what makes you happy as long as it's in line with your values, right? So I think that there's absolutely nothing wrong with having premarital sex if that's what makes you happy. If marriage is what makes you happy, then by all means get married. But I trust the people who watch my channel to have some level of self-awareness and to understand what they want from their life. So that's a difference. I treat them as adults who are capable of deciding what's best for themselves, and I give them a tool to do that. Now, by what exactly is your question? By what metric is that?
Well, so no, my question to you multiple times was if by every empirical metric, which in this case I think the empirical metric would basically be self-reporting. There's really no other way that you could gather that data. I don't think anyway. Maybe there has been targeted studies on that. But even from self-reported data, that's at least somewhat reliable as a metric. All of these metrics are superior for people who wait. We know that the divorce rate's way down for people who stay virgins, for instance. We know that they're going to stay married a lot longer. We know that if you're a Christian, you're less likely to get divorced. We went over those stats before. By every single metric, the outcomes for the people are better. Your response to this is
those statistics don't take into account all the people that are fearing hell that are staying together.
Yeah, but I'm not convinced what John's trying to say and what I'm trying to say.
It doesn't matter what they're fearing or what they think.
We're just looking at the outcome.
Hang on. I'm not convinced that that's a causation instead of a correlation. You'd have to prove to me.
Well, but
that's a causation thing.
Yeah. So, Alex, that's fair enough. But I just need you to understand that everything you can source as a causation is going to be a correlation. Everything, literally.
No, you can show me data that's something.
All data is correlatory. All data is correlatory.
Especially in your materialist worldview, like somebody could punch somebody else in the face, and you could say that the bruise on their cheek is just correlatory to the fist, not actually caused by
you're being a little.
We're really not. This is exactly what John brought up earlier with the statue statistically being able to move. Right? We're saying that all truth claims that you make that are scientific are going to be correlatory when it comes to this type of data gap.
You're saying that the counter argument that causation doesn't imply correlation is
let's let Alex get in. Alex, get in there.
When they look at like something, meditation scientifically proven to increase your overall well-being. When they look at stuff like that, they basically measure the person's brain activity before and after like certain meditation sessions. Yeah. So that is direct causation.
No, that's a correlation. They're saying we correlate this thing happening here with what your self-report is. We don't know still for sure that that's causation. We just assume that it's causation.
You're being
no, I'm not. This is not semantics. If the argument is you could mathematically jump off of a building, turn into a balloon, and float off, it's just that the certainty of that is so infinitesimal that it'll probably never happen. Everything that you're talking about in this instance is going to be correlatory. It's just that you say we believe that the percentage is high enough that we can take that as being fact.
Yeah,
right?
It's called being statistically significant.
Okay, so then Alex, so if that's true, then you can't just rub this off as being correlatory if I can show you that the percentage is high enough that you should probably take it as fact, right?
Well, you have to control for other factors.
That's what a study does. It controls those factors.
When they do studies, they're like scientific. They control for all external factors. So you'd have to tell me that we took two groups of people, right? Like 100 guys and 100 guys who come from every single metric being the same. They both had a body count of 10. They got married, and some didn't. The guys who had a 10 body count who got married were on average happier. Like you'd have to show me something like that so that I know it's not correlated.
But you already have that.
I don't.
Well, wait. What do you mean you don't? Then you don't agree with... So you don't agree with us then that when we're just talking about averages, that we don't know the rates of people who are self-identified as Christians and devout, that they're not self-reporting that they're getting divorced less than people who are or who don't identify as Christian? Is that what you're saying to me?
No, I'm just saying I don't think it's actually the fact that they have that they've abstained from sex before marriage.
What do you think it is?
Well, I'm about to answer that.
Okay.
I don't think it's the fact that they have abstained from sex before marriage that's causing them to be less likely to get divorced. I think it's more of the fact that they hold religious beliefs and they don't want to be shamed by their community and blah, blah, blah. That's causing them not to get divorced. So I think this is a case of correlation rather than causation.
So wait. If they do have the sex before marriage, you're assuming that all these bad things are going to happen to them, right? Getting shamed by the community, all this type of thing, right?
No, I'm assuming if they're going to get divorced, they're going to get shamed by their community.
Okay, so, well, then I don't understand. Let's go back to the argument. You're saying, in your argument, you don't believe it's them not having the sex before marriage, right? Why are they not having the sex before marriage?
I'm saying I don't know, but it seems like it's a
correlation. No. Well, wait. Well, what do you think? Why do you think they're not having the sex before marriage?
Not relevant.
Let him answer. Let him answer uninterrupted.
Could be any number of things. Maybe they can't get laid. Maybe they're religious. I don't know, man. Could be any number.
You don't think that it would be direct in correlation with their religious values telling them not to have sex before marriage, even if they identify that that's the reason they're not doing that?
It could be that. Could be the fact that they just couldn't get laid.
That's
why when you're performing,
so we're going to dismiss what. Well, wait. So you want to dismiss the empirical evidence you do have?
No. First of all, it's the empirical evidence that you brought to the table. I'm just saying, if you want me to accept this empirical evidence, you have to show to me that all external factors have been controlled for, and you haven't done that yet.
Otherwise, there's confounds.
Well, there's no way to control for every single externalized factor. You can only do things like you guys would consider a meta-analysis. I have been told the highest form of scientific evidence, right? So if we were to show you these types of studies that have a meta-analysis, would you accept them then?
Let me feel this one. I would say no. They did a famous meta-analysis. Hold on, let me respond. I have a really good point here. They did a famous meta-analysis. It was on CNN where they said supplements increase all-cause mortality by 5%. And if you look at the actual studies, there's like 50 different studies. The dosages were either too low to not have effect, or they were too high to the point where they were toxic. All the studies involved people that were already really sick. Some of the studies had like one person as the sample size. They cherry-picked studies to get this nice headline that supplements cause disease, which is beneficial to the pharmaceutical companies who profit off people being sick. And that was a meta-analysis that was supposed to
So we can reject meta-analysis then?
It depends on the specific studies.
Okay, so then we can't object to meta-analysis then.
You can or can't, depending on the sub-studies beneath it.
Okay, but I mean, here. So, can I just point to what's that?
I'm just trying to make a simple point. Real quick. Control for external factors.
I just wanted to point to some correlation that is so strong that it's undeniable. Okay. So this study that I'm referencing, they took samples from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. The number of women in this study who had zero sexual partners was around 20% in the 70s, and it's around 5% in the 2010s, which sounds accurate, right? And the number of churchgoers in this study was found that the lower the number of sexual partners prior to marriage, the higher the percentage of churchgoers it was. So we've got our correlation between low sex partners, high churchgoers. And we can also look at our divorce rates, which have gone up in the past 40, 50 years, as we've gotten less virgin marriages, and we've gotten more sexual promiscuity, which you guys are advocating for.
Okay, can I respond, or do you want to?
Yeah, let John go for a while. Go for it, John.
It basically just goes back to Alex's point about confounds. Is like, I know a lot of Christian people. I know a lot of people that are in Christian marriages that don't get divorced because they don't want to go to hell. It's like the ultimate punishment.
Who cares why they don't want to do it?
If they're miserable in the
I don't want to murder somebody because I don't want to go to jail. Like, it doesn't matter why I don't want to do it. It just matters that I don't do it.
Like, we can, John, I hope you don't take this personally, but we can use your family. Like, you've told me that your parents are miserable, but the reason they're together is because they're religious. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty personal, but okay.
Sorry. I felt like it was really appropriate. I didn't mean to go there.
But they both waited. I mean, we can use them as an example. They both waited till marriage to have sex. They were each other's first partner. I was the first child, so I might have been the 32nd blaze of glory there for the first time ever. And I've avenged my father now. No, in all seriousness, they've had their trials, tribulations. They're closer now, but for a lot of the period, they didn't want to go to hell, and that was and they didn't want to, they didn't want to violate the church. It's a very strong punishment.
For sake of civility, Andrew, I know what you're thinking. For sake of civility,
I gotta finish this. Hang on, John. Did your mom, Pedro? I gotta finish this. John, did your mom stay at home with you?
Yes.
Okay. Wasn't that nice?
I was verbally abused pretty hardcore, so maybe not so much.
Well, wouldn't you say on average that would probably be pretty nice for people?
I don't know.
You don't think so? You don't know?
It depends on the quality of the mom, man.
I mean, so here's the thing. I know we're talking anecdotally, but I'm fine talking anecdotally. I don't believe you when you say to me you don't know that most children would probably do pretty well having their mom stay at home and raise them. You really think that they wouldn't do well? Or better?
No, I can concede that. Probably, yes.
Yeah, so if you can concede that and the probability is good, then your parents staying together for religious purposes and having your mom stay at home to raise you, at least potentially on average, would have produced normally a much better outcome for you. And maybe it even did compared to what might have happened if your parents had split to non, because they said screw Christianity and split up, you would agree that the outcome for you would
this is just an argument for marriage in general.
Let me bring it back to my family, for example. My parents, were really great, but they were miserable together, and they stayed together for a very long time. Now that they're separated, they're both a lot happier.
Did your mom stay at home with you?
No, she worked.
She worked. Yeah. So, I mean, in that instance, it's in some ways it can even be counterproductive. I do concede that that's true, but generally speaking, Alex, wouldn't you concede to my point that generally speaking, if your mom had stayed at home with you, the outcome for you probably would have been even better than it is right now?
Yeah, I'll concede that, but that's because my mom is really nice and friendly.
And so this is what we advocate. This is what we're advocating for, and you guys kind of just concede that these are truisms.
That's an argument for marriage. Am I wrong?
Well, right. We're arguing for different things.
Well, wait.
The argument that I was trying to make was
the marriage produces the foundation for the husband to work and the mom stay at home. You would agree that that's true,
right? But we're talking about two different things, Andrew. And
you're making an argument for marriage. Which,
I'm making an argument. You made an argument earlier for why divorce is bad. I'm saying that divorce is not always bad. Sometimes divorce is good.
Well, we don't say that divorce is always bad. Even if we got rid of no-fault divorce, which we advocate for, we would still want to put in provisions for women who are being abused horribly or horrifically. And by the way, just so you guys know, those provisions have always been in place. You could always get divorced. You just had to provide grounds for being divorced. That's all. That's all we advocate for, is that you have proper grounds. Otherwise, what happens right now, you realize which sex do you guys think initiates the most amount of divorces?
Yeah, obviously women. Everyone knows.
Obviously women, right? And at the college level, it's like 90% or something absurd. So what we want to do is even the playing field a bit and say, if you're going to get a divorce, come to the court and have an actual reason for the divorce other than I want to go blow my neighbor, right?
Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I think all five of us on the screen would agree with that.
Right.
Going back to what I was saying earlier, the problem is when you make blanket statements, when you say things like, "Oh, well, marriage makes people happier, therefore you guys are immoral."
It's not a blanket statement, because if we say on average and you agree on average, then there's no blanket there. We're agreeing to the terms of average outcomes. That's it. We have no other metric to go by other than average outcomes, and then intuition and intuitive reasoning. The intuitive reasoning matches up with what we see with outcomes, so why wouldn't we believe it's true?
Well, first of all, I'm not convinced that on average marriage makes people happier. I will acknowledge that in the study, I'm just going to take it in good faith that you're telling it like it is, that there's some kind of correlation there, but I don't know if that's a causation there. Meaning, I don't know if it's actually getting married that makes you happier, or the kind of people that want to get married also have other things going for them.
We've already been through this. Dude. It's like everything.
Can he let him finish? Let him finish then, and then refute it.
Yeah, just let me finish, bro, and then you can refute me. That there's other factors that are going for these people that are making them happy. Like maybe all these people have very stable jobs, they're not into drug use or whatever, and that's what's actually creating them happiness.
That's correlation.
Marriage
itself. That's all correlated, and we're accounting for the correlation and saying that being married actually reduces those harm factors you're talking about.
Okay. Before you respond, John, we're going to start wrapping it up because it's been 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I know Zen and Andrew are running on Eastern Standard Time, so it's like 12 or 1 a.m. in the morning where they are, and they got work tomorrow. So we'll let you get the last word on this, John. No responses. John gets the last word, and then we're going to go to Alex for closing statements.
Oh yeah, I had in my notes what their defense is about church molesting kids, all the molestation and all that nonsense. And the Crusades have caused more deaths than all the wars combined.
I'd love to answer to both of those points.
Pedro, let's let them answer, because I think this is.
I'll answer to the first one.
Okay.
We obviously disavow church pedophilia, but the same critique could be brought. The same critique could be brought tenfold to the public school system, where there's massive
the public school system has probably the highest predatory rate that you could possibly imagine, and the reason for that, I think both of you guys would probably agree.
Why is that relevant?
Because predators go where children are. You would agree with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that's not. These guys are supposed to be the holiest of people on earth and in touch with God and to
See, I'm sorry. Since most people self-identify as being Christian, don't you think that most people in public schools are Christians?
I mean, there's a term versus how people are living their lives. Most people are not.
I agree. Right, I
Each
agree.
one
So,
got his thing.
so since we can agree that that's true, we would say that those people, how they identify and how they're living their life, are two completely different things, and we completely disavow those people, consider them scum, want them run out of the church, want nothing to do with them. But we're also not Catholics, so that you understand, John, the way that you were brought up, it's those people doing all the kid diddling. Just so you know, not our people. We're not doing the kids.
Could you clarify what you guys are?
So Andrew is an Orthodox. I mean, I guess I'm an Orthodox inquirer. I don't know if you would call me a catechumen or whatever, but we're Orthodox Christians.
Okay.
And
that means that you think that Mary had sex with her brothers or something. What is it?
No.
For life
No idea what you're talking about.
That's Islam. That's Islam.
That would be blasphemy to the Theotokos, just so you know. So no, absolutely.
We believe in an ever Virgin Mary. not to derail, but Orthodoxy is distinct from what you deem to be called Catholicism, Roman Catholicism, who were the ones that actually enacted the Crusades, which you mentioned. That doesn't apply to us either.
Okay. Okay. Fair enough.
But Cain and Abel must have.
This is jumping off from premarital sex.
No. See, again, but quickly, John, to correct you, I don't remember if it was Cain or Abel, but God made one of them a wife. I can't remember precisely which one it was, but
he created a wife out of nothing.
Contrary to the surface level belief, God made more people than just Adam and Eve.
Pedro, can I have maybe like 2 minutes just to go through rapid fire on some things, and we'll just go real quick? 2 minutes?
I have a feeling it won't be rapid fire, but
do we get to rapid fire?
Can you make them into yes, nos, and then
sure.
Go ahead.
You can do that to me. Okay, so I just very quickly, as we were talking, pulled up. I just typed in study sex effect on happiness, and basically there's a study that people who have sex more frequently report a greater sense of general happiness. Now, assuming that you guys would agree with me that you shouldn't marry someone just for sex, correct?
Yeah, we would agree that you should not get married just for sex.
Okay,
absolutely.
Cool. We agree on that. So if the end goal, if we're going off like my metrics and my value system, where the end goal is happiness, which there's some preconditions to that, then wouldn't that study just directly contradict that? If people who have sex...
Well, you'd have to tell us what the preconditions were.
Well, the preconditions is that you're not directly harming anyone else.
We reject that as a precondition, but I'm just gonna go with the merit of it though, and just try to answer as honestly as I can.
Okay, so if we're following, like we're operating in my worldview, and we're doing this internal critique, then wouldn't it make sense that if I'm going off this study, that I should want people to have sex because that's what makes them happy?
If everything that you're saying within it would be accurate and I had no line of inquiry and took it all at face value, then we would just agree that it was consistent, sure.
Okay, so then the only argument you would have is that it goes against your Christian values.
Possibly.
Well, I would just quickly argue that if you're invoking a study that says people who have more sex are happier, I would retort with the fact that people that are married have more sex.
Well,
a lot more.
First of all, that doesn't apply to a lot of married couples. But with that aside,
but
averages,
Alex.
But with that aside, we agreed that people shouldn't just get married to have sex.
No, we agree.
We do agree with that.
Yeah, we agree with that. So you don't want to marry.
We believe so that we're clear. We believe that the criteria for marriage, first and foremost, should be the children. You should be getting married specifically for the best outcomes for your children. And that is our deontological duty. So we don't look at it from a consequentialist worldview. We look at it from a duty-based worldview. We think your duty first comes to your children and then your spouse, right? Well, it's actually God, children, spouse, right? That's the duty order in which we see
God's
it.
three people, so the children.
I would probably agree with that. I think that's a pretty fair logic and philosophy. But okay, so let me just walk through this one more time, and then I'll move on. So we agree that you should not marry just to have sex.
Yeah.
But we also, if we take the study at face value, that that sex increases happiness, then following my whatever ultralogical perspective, it would make sense that I would argue that people should have sex.
It could, unless there was externalized values where you would look at it and say, okay, these other things mitigate the fact that just pure hedonism and sex is good, and that these other outcomes are better.
Explain that.
Okay, so like for instance, you go, okay, sex is good, so therefore having sex is good. Okay, because people report like a higher happiness index. But what if they report a higher happiness index than that if they're married and having sex? Shouldn't we go with the being married and having sex at that point?
Well, what if they can't find someone to marry yet?
No, I mean, these are all great questions, and this is why we couldn't take it at face value. We'd have to go through it line by line to figure out one, if it's logical and if it adds up and if it's empirical and all this shit. So, I mean, at face, I would say if all of it added up to being completely equal to what you're saying, sure, we would say you're consistent. We just reject it because we don't think you are going to end up being consistent.
Well, I don't know how you can make that assumption that you don't think I'm going to end up being.
Well, because we already told you there's got to be 100 different factors that go into this, and we've named tons and tons of them.
Right, you're talking about external factors, right?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt about your study.
Okay, yeah, but you didn't point any of them out.
Because I never saw the study, so how can
well, right.
Keep
So
it in here, Alex.
if that's true, then
I
how can you
pointed out
say external factors were the problem, right?
I pointed out potential ones. Like I pointed out potential ones that probably do apply.
Maybe. Okay, fair enough.
I just can't say that definitively. I guess, okay, fine. I'll end it off on this last question. I'm not trying to personally attack you, but you talk a lot about setting a good personal example, right? And that's kind of like where you think the pickup community fails is we set a bad example. I mean, that was why you spent.
No, not really. So okay. I just want to correct that.
Okay.
It's not that you're setting a bad example. It's that I believe that you're espousing out of one side of your face what you claim you're doing, and out of the other side of your face, you're doing something else that you're not claiming you're doing.
What am I claiming I'm doing?
Well, I think this is why we would go back to my definition that you guys agreed to. You guys think that you're instilling men with confidence in order to approach women and giving them just the tools in order to do that. We believe that you're actually espousing ways for men to have sex with multiple women, and that you're actually encouraging them to do that. So it's not that it's not an example setting situation as much as we're saying that what you practice and then what you actually preach is different than what you claim you actually preach.
Oh, okay. So you think it's not just that we're setting a bad example by fucking a lot of girls. You're saying we're actually directly teaching that you should fuck a lot of girls.
Yes.
Yes,
that's what I'm saying. Yes.
We already established I'm agnostic with that, though. I don't tell guys.
Well, we've established that you say that. But
well, hang on. Well, this is a very interesting claim that we're getting into like 2 hours and 40 minutes into now. So I guess
we have to wrap it up, man. It's fucking.
I mean, I would just be curious what your evidence for that is. Like, do you have any videos of mine that you can reference?
And we can do a round 4 if you.
Yeah, I mean, I do.
Yeah, I think I would hold you guys to this. This is what I would say. You guys should pin it here, and then come back for part 4. Because just say we don't actually do closing statements. We just say for now, hey, we've reached a good point. We know where we are. Let's hold here and let's come back and jump off from this point.
And Alex, I'm happy to come back solo even if you want.
Because this is the other problem I think I've seen here. We restarted the conversation in part 2 and part 3, and each time we had a whole lot of things that never actually related to, or maybe they did on some level, to the base topic at hand.
You do have to get to those super chats though before we wrap up.
Well, no, we can get 2-minute closings, right? We gotta get some closers here.
Yeah, we gotta get something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Everybody else. We gotta give everybody a send off.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, let's all do the closing statement. Go ahead.
Just 2 minutes. I mean, make them quick.
Yeah,
I think that's fair.
You can kick it off, Zen.
Okay. Yeah. So, where do I even begin? Well, you guys heard it. We were operating obviously from different worldviews. I think What the biggest takeaway, though, is that we were able to step into the worldview of Alex and John here, show why it didn't work from multiple angles, including the fact that lower sexual partners are less likely to divorce, which they deem to be, divorce being a bad thing. That the less likely you are, or the lower your sexual partners are, the more likely you are to be a churchgoer, which would then result in a lower divorce rate, which again are good things that derive from our worldview, and that higher casual promiscuous sex, more sexual partners, leads to all the negative outcomes, and they are advocating for higher rates of casual promiscuous sex, and that it's cool and that these are good things, but they've got no ultimate grounding for it other than Alex's mental state, other than John's philosophical mental state that they're unable to actually articulate. And what we can observe, and I think I delivered multiple killing blows here by hammering this and emphasizing this, that the critiques that they delivered to us also applied to them. And whether they were valid or not doesn't matter, because they also applied to them. When they say that the Christian worldview is wrong because we've never seen a virgin birth, well, I could say that the evolutionary worldview is wrong because we've never seen organic compound come from inorganic compound. So all of their critiques are self-refuting by their own lights, and all of our critiques to them are consistent with our worldview, and they don't actually violate our worldview. So I think I think we did as good of a job as we can. There's obviously still more ground to cover. I do appreciate you guys debating. I always appreciate somebody who's willing to come into the ring, especially against me and Andrew here. We are some of the fiercest right-wing debaters on the internet, if I had to say so myself from my biased perspective. So in any way, if you guys enjoyed, my name is Zen Shapiro. You can find me on Twitter and YouTube, also the in-house right-wing debater on The Crucible, where I debate often. So if you enjoyed me and the debate, you can find me there. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you guys having us on.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you, Zen, for that closing statement. I'll move it over to Andrew for his closing statement.
Oh, okay.
And let's not interrupt either. I wanted to interject there, but I kept my mouth shut. Let's all give each other courtesy to make the closing remark.
Yeah. So first and foremost, John, I know that in the intro and then kind of our sparring back and forth that you took that personally. Maybe that has something to do with something external going on. I don't know. I think that when we got into the trans portion of this thing, I'm not ashamed of that. Yeah. Well, this was not. What I needed you to know is that this was not designed to be a personal attack, but rather to challenge what you're espousing and what people are believing versus what might be factual. And that's the point of the debate. We got into multiple different things where I challenged you on physics and laws of physics, on science and on the scientific method, on these various things that you had no answer to, though these were your criticisms towards us, which to me, that was totally bizarre and made no sense. You levy a criticism at somebody and you don't even understand the actual methods or processes in which you're levying the criticism. That makes me think you're just parroting things that you've heard. It's absurd to me on its face. Zen did make the most valid criticism, which is that all of the things levied against us are levied against you. I was trying to get as ultra good faith as I could and answer yes, no, and just, but anytime I would ask you one of those questions, I was straight up stonewalled, said it was non-analogous. We don't have to answer that. We're not going to engage with that. And then the metric for which you kind of said that was okay is because you were concerned about the audience's judgment, which leads me to believe, you have to have a smart audience if they don't, you know what I mean? If they can just be swayed by these perceived non sequitur and straw man arguments or loaded arguments, as you say, I don't think my audience could be swayed that way. So I think that all of them were good faith arguments. All of them were designed to probe your worldview so that we could dive into it more. We were happy to answer criticisms to our own. Just as usual, they tend to fall flat. So that's kind of my closing statement. Zen did great, and you can find him on The Crucible. He is our in-house right-wing debater. You can find me there too, though I'm usually hosting, not debating. I would like to thank Alex and John for turning out for the debate. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for that, Andrew. And just an intermittent super chat from John Smith on Playing with Fire's channel for $5. Thank you for that super chat, sir. John and Alex just show how to get girls in 2022, not what you should actually do. But yeah, obviously a girl with a lower lay count, I think he's meaning body count there, is a better partner. And I'm going to pass it over to John for his closing statement.
Okay. So I just have to say that I was fairly disappointed. I felt like this was a dirty fight the whole way from the other team. It was a lot of, I'm going to make a response while I'll dissect it. It'll waste much time, but it was a lot of apples and oranges. There was a lot of logical fallacies. There was a lot of loaded questions. They picked extreme skepticism. They played games with definitions, and they made a lot of wrong assumptions followed by deductive points, which is why I kept calling time out, because no, I don't think the audience is clever enough to follow the little games you were playing that can defeat my position unfairly. So if this happens again, there's going to be some strict rules regarding the types of points that can be made, and I'm going to continue to speak up. We can't be reframed as being afraid to answer points when you're doing low blows below the belt. In a ring, you're not going to fucking kick people in the nuts. That's what it was like the whole time we were on here. And for the record, I don't think we're the crazy ones saying miracles are insane. Okay, it's for the same reason we don't believe in Santa Claus or the Tooth Fairy anymore. I look at Jesus Christ on the same exact level, no different whatsoever. Okay, same with all the other religions. So I don't see them as binding threats, and I don't think people should live their lives in fear of going to a place down below that we now know as magma. Okay, we didn't know that before, or going to a place above that we used to think was heaven, but now we know that's the solar system. Okay, a lot of these claims are outdated, and now science destroys them. And once people learn enough about science, it's very easy to be an atheist. Okay, before evolution and modern neuroscience, it was a lot tougher. But now we have real explanations for these things. And if you're going to try to claim that we just can't tell that it's blood once you've drank the wine and it's probably blood, anyone with half a brain is going to say, no, you're retarded. Okay, and that's how it. So I just want to stress we have to make this a fair fight, and we're not the ones making the wild claims here. That's you guys.
Got it. Thank you for that, John. Intermittent super chat from our channel on the Crucible for 100 Mexican pesos, which would be computed out to $5 over here.
26 cents.
26 cents. Yeah,
it's inflation. It's inflation, Pedro.
From Emmanuel, trying to fill up that gas tank. Let me teach you some expert hammering techniques, and by showing you how to build insecure but very affordable and comfortable tree houses. You decide how to use those techniques. Do you see any problem? That's a question, but you don't have to answer it. Thank you for your super chat, sir. And we'll pass it on for Alex, the leader and creator of Playing with Fire, guys. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to his channel. Sir, give us your closing statements.
Sure. So I'll start off by thanking everyone. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, Zen. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, John. It became a shit show at times, but I appreciate you guys coming on. So with that being said, let me get into my closing statement. I'm going to comment on what Zen and Andrew said. I think you attempted to step into a worldview that is true, but I don't think you really did. An example that Zen gave, when just because evolution has never been recreated, it debunks our argument. That's not true, because millions of births have taken place in recent history, and aside from artificial insemination, none of them involved a virgin giving birth. So again, we're comparing apples to oranges. I think that was done a lot throughout the debate, and we have to compare apples to apples. I think also the fact that you were having sex before marriage and now are virtually signaling that you shouldn't take away from, that does take away from your credibility. I also think the definition game takes away from the argument at hand. I don't think it adds to the discussion. You made the argument near the end that I'm inconsistent between what I say I teach and what I really teach. And that's interesting. I'd be curious to hear you prove that in the next debate, because that is something that was only brought up at the very, very, very end. And I could not fundamentally disagree with that more, because you're effectively calling me a hypocrite. So, or at the very least saying I'm inconsistent. So I'll be very curious to hear you respond to that. Well, my overall assessment of the situation is you guys are better debaters, but our arguments are a lot better. My 2 cents.
Awesome. And guys, that was the closing statements for this debate. It will probably more than likely have a part 4. It was very good at the end. Like Alex said, I fully agree. At times it was a definite shit show. But usually in the later half of these things, I've been noticing it comes back home and gets more productive. So hopefully next time we come back and we see you guys, we can pin it from here and unpin it right here. Thank you so much, Alex, for letting us on your channel. We appreciate it. At this time, I don't know if Andrew and Zen want to leave, but I definitely, Alex, I saw last time you stayed on stream. Can you stay on stream again, or are you trying to log off right now?
I'll stay on stream for like 5-10 minutes to do like a post-show type of thing.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. So, yeah, guys.
Okay.
All right, well, I'm out. I got to go fuck my wife. No, I'm kidding. Not really, though. See you later, guys. Have a good night. Thank you so much.